Very good morning, everybody. The final day of the second season of the presentations. So you will be climbing halfway down your MS studies in your presentations. And then we will meet again in the third season only. Till then it will be very difficult for everybody to meet together. So we will have one group photo also today in the recess time, and we hope that as last time few students ran away, this time today they will not run away and will remain present here for a group photo, which we'll be using for the next year's Google Classroom banner also, and even in the memorabilia, the entire class photograph will be there. So before we start the things, a brief introduction about the things that are going on. So you all are submitting your works in Google Classroom. And through Google Classroom, we are having the presentations also. This is that photograph where some of you are missing. When we believe in Bhagavad Gita, we have to remember that our karma will catch us anytime. If you think that, no, my karma will not catch me, then it is wrong. Your karma will catch you somehow. So, yesterday, Vishwa's karma was caught. Today, other two students' karma is caught. So, when we believe into the deep philosophies of religious texts, we have to see that it will catch someday. So here you have submitted your work in Google Classroom. You are doing peer and self-evaluation also. So in this online form, you are doing your peer and self-evaluation. And when we get the result, we get it in this manner. So when things are done quite properly by everybody, we get equal distribution of things. 4 papers are completed. Today is the 5th, and equally 25% share we can see in the pie chart that is generated. So we don't have to work on such pie charts when we want to use this for any documentation purpose, or we want to showcase to the other people that this is how we carry out various activities in our department. So then it reduces our work, and you all can see how you have been rated by peer and self throughout the 5 days. You can keep on having the screenshots also of every day also, or at the end of the day, at least today, when all the works are done, you can take a screenshot of this also for your documentation purpose. You are being also evaluated on teachers rubric also. So we have one rubric in Google Classroom, and we have 7 criteria there on which also you all are evaluated. So subject knowledge, organization of your ideas, elocution or verbal skills, mechanics of writing, non-verbal skills like eye contact, body language, or enthusiasm, which still most of you need to work also. So we are giving you the score here, but still your eye contact with the audience is not up to the mark when you are presenting. Most of you are still reading the screen only, which you yourself can also know after watching your video recordings. And then last 2 columns we have to prepare you for research writing, academic research writing. For that we have how you use sources for your presentations and how you document your sources. We prefer MLS style of documentation, and that way on these parameters you are also evaluated. Today we will have, let us have a list of the presenters for the day. We will start with Jayashree, and the first presentation will be on understanding modernism, exploring the cultural revolution of the early 20th century. Kusums will be on war poetry from past to present. Vishwa on war poetry's impact on public perception and conflict understanding. Kavitas on exploring the stream of consciousness in English literature. HIRAL will make it on inside the mind, unraveling stream of consciousness in Bollywood cinema. Jay Maruniya's on absurdism in Indian literature, Nanda on embracing the absurd, exploring the surreal in literature. DHATRI's will be on unraveling hypertext, analyzing postmodern elements in literature. HARDI will make it on disrupting reality, absurdism in the birthday party by Harold Pinter. Akshay is on Pinteresque, exploring Harold Pinter's way of writing. Darshan will make it on menace in comedy, analyzing the birthday party by Harold Pinter. Maya on reflection on Pinter's The Birthday Party. Akash on exploring existential themes in popular culture. And Bhumiba will make it on beyond masala, existentialism in Indian cinema. Okay, so let us start with the first presentation. Jayashri can start the presentation.
Century. This is my personal information. This is the table of content. I am going to start with introduction. Modernism. Modernism is a transformative cultural and artistic movement of the late 19th and early 20th century. The modernism was a response to rapid industrialization, urbanization, and technological advancement. It was embraced innovation, experimentation, and individualism across literature, art, and architecture. It's represented radical departure from traditional norms and conventions. Explore significance in shaping the trajectory of human creativity and intellectual evolution. If I say in a simple word that for example, if we have a puzzle, so we made that puzzle the way in a right way. Then someone tried to discard that puzzle and try to fit in another way. So we can, in contrast, we can say it. Historical context of the modernism, industrialization, rapid industrial growth and urban migration influenced modernist thinker and artists who explored themes of urban alienation and the impact of industrial society on human experience. As we seen in many of the modernist literature, that the main theme was industrialization. That how industrialization makes people disconnected to the society and human experiences. Then scientific progress. In that time, there were Darwin's theory of evolution and Freud's theory of the unconscious mind challenged traditional beliefs, inspiring modernist experimentation with a narrative structure and psychological depth. Then rise of capitalism. Modernist literature critiqued the materialism and alienation of capitalist societies, reflecting the socio-economic inequalities and the cultural shift of the era. At that time, everyone thinks that money is the happiness. So the writer tried to say with their work that money isn't happiness. Then changing social structures, shifts in there were shifts in social hierarchies, including the rise of the middle class and mass culture, prompted modernist exploration of identity, alienation, and the search for meaning in a rapidly changing world. Then the modernism was a response to Victorianism, the critique of Victorian morality and ethics. So modernist writers and artists rejected the rigid moral codes and societal norms of Victorian era, challenging the notion of moral absolutism and exploring the complexities of human behavior and morality. So they tried to come out from uh, the moral they have stated for that a human have to behave like that and they have to live like that. So they try to emphasize the autonomy and subjectivity of the individual, rejecting the constraint of societal expectation and advocating for personal freedom and self-expression. So they try to focus on personal freedom rather than believing in others' expectation. And they try to say that તમારે જે કરવો એ કરી લો, હું તમને ગમે એ જ કરીશ. Then rejection of a traditional convention in art and literature. Modernist movements such as the surrealism, Dadaism, and expressionism broke away from a traditional artistic and literary forms, experimenting with abstraction, fragmentation, and unconventional techniques to convey subjective experiences and emotions. Then, impact of World War I on modernism. So, the devastation and disillusionment, the unprecedented scale of death and destruction during World War I left a profound impact on society, leading to a widespread of disillusionment with the traditional values, institutions, and ideologies. That they realized that war isn't only answer. Then loss of faith in traditional values, the brutality and senselessness of the war shattered faith in the ideal of progress, nationalism, and civilization that had characterized the Victorian and Edwardian eras. Modernist writers and artists responded by questioning and challenging established beliefs and norms. That if we are doing a war for the development of the country, but because of that war, the country has to face so many problems too. Then fragmentation of identity and reality. The trauma of war and the breakdown of social structure resulted in a sense of fragmentation and dislocation. Influence of Freud and psychoanalysis on modernism. As we know that Freud gave some theories like exploration of unconscious mind, concept of identity and expressions. So the first is the exploration of the unconscious mind. Modernist writers such as Virginia Woolf in Mrs. Dalloway and James Joyce in Ulysses delved into a subconscious realm of their characters, exploring depressed desire and fears that shape their behavior and perception. That it means that human have desires that are not so normal. Then a concept of the modern self and identity crisis. T.S. Eliot's poem *The Wasteland* reflects the fragmented nature of the modern self, depicting characters struggling with existential questions and internal conflicts, mirroring the psychoanalytic notion of the identity crisis. Then impact on literature and artistic expressions. Salvador Dali's surrealist paintings such as The Persistence of Memory depicted dreamlike landscapes and distorted forms influenced by Freudian concept of symbolism and unconsciousness. Then similarly to Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis employs symbolism and surrealism to explore themes of alienation and psychological transformation inspired by psychoanalytic ideas of the psyche's hidden depth. The Harlem Renaissance. So the Harlem Renaissance was in the 1920s. It was an African American expression and creativity. That time, the Harlem is a place in New York where there were so many artistic people were there. So it was a dynamic artistic movement encompassing literature, music, and visual art, serving as a pivotal period of African American expression and creativity. Then expression of identity, providing a platform for African American artists. The movement celebrated cultural heritage and challenged the racial stereotypes, fostering a sense of pride and empowerment within the community. Then impact on modernist art. That how Harlem Renaissance impacted on modernist art. The Harlem Renaissance significantly influenced the modernist literature and art with prominent figures like Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston and incorporating modernist technique while addressing themes of race, identity, and social injustice, enriching the broader cultural landscape of the era. The Roaring Twenties. Jazz and flapper culture. Jazz music soared in popularity, led by icons like Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington. Then flapper culture emerged, challenging social norms through fashion and behavior. That women tried to come out from that stereotypical type of fashion and behavior. Then economic prosperity and consumerism. Consu- Consumerism. Unprecedented economic growth fueled consumer culture, epitomized by icons like the Ford Model T and Coca-Cola mass production techniques spread, symbolizing affluence and optimism. That they believe that money is the happiness, as we seen in the Great Gatsby. Also, that how Gatsby has money and he also bought a car. And if we see in today's life, so that what is the economic prosperity and consumerism, that someone have like iPhone, then there is a coffee brand, I don't remember that name, but that is considered as a wealthy. That yes, so it's like that. Then experimentation in arts. The 1920s witnessed creative innovation across literature, art, and music. F. Scott Fitzgerald captured the era's essence in The Great Gatsby, while artists like Picasso and can push the boundaries with the moments. Political turmoil and ideological shifts, rise of totalitarianism and fascism. In the 20th century saw the emergence of totalitarian regimes like Mussolini's Italy and Hitler's Germany, characterized by authoritarian control and suppression of dissent. As we seen in the novel 1984, which had represented the totalitarianism very well. Then communist revolutions and socialist movements. Socialist and communist ideologies gained momentum, leading to revolution in Russia and China, challenging capitalist system and advocating for social equality. Then influence on modernist literature. Modernist literature critiqued political oppression and societal upheaval through works like Huxley's Brave New World and Kafka's The Trial, exploring themes of individual freedom and the dehumanizing effect of authoritarianism. Then technological advances. That at that time the influence of photography, film, and radio. Photography, film, and radio revolutionized the communication, shaping perception, and providing new tools for artistic suppression. For example, if we are trying to tell someone verbally that try to describe the things, and on another hand, if we give them photos, so there will be a difference, huge difference. Then a shift in perception of time and space. Advancements like the telegraph and transportation innovation compressed time and space, influencing perceptions and themes in literature. So by using telegraph, they can connect to each other in a little bit less time. Then impact on narrative techniques. Modernist writers experimented with stream of consciousness and non-linear storytelling, reflecting the rapid pace and fragmentation of modern life. In conclusion, modernism was a dynamic cultural and artistic movement that emerged in response to social, political, and technological upheavals of the late 19th and early 20th century. It represents a departure from Victorian values and tradition, seeking to redefine art, literature, and architecture in the modern age. The impact of World War I, along with the influence of Freudian psychoanalysis, played a significant role in shaping the themes and aesthetic of the modernist works. The Harlem Renaissance and the Roaring Twenties brought forth new voices and perspectives, contributing to the diversity and vibrancy of the modernist culture. Despite political turmoil and ideological shift, modernism thrived amidst technological advances, leaving a lasting legacy on art, literature, and society as a whole. This is my references. Now, if anyone have a question, you can ask.
So, Jayashri, my question is, how did Picasso, Dali, and Matisse revolutionize art in the early 20th century? And can you tell something about their iconic works?
So Picasso, Dali, and Matisse, they were connected to surrealism, Cubanism, and Fauvism. There were so many iconic works of them. Like for example, Picasso's Guernica, Salvador Dali's Perspectives of the Memory, and Matisse's The Dance. Now, anyone else?
Jayashri, can you name some of the Indian modernist writers and what themes they wrote about in their works?
Yes, we have many modernist writers in our Indian literature also, like Ravindranath Tagore, M.F. Hussain, Amrita Shergill, and Mulk Raj Anand. They explored themes like spirituality, then social inequality, then sexuality and mythology. As we know that M.F. Hussain was in controversy due to his works on Indian mythology. Then Amrita Shergill was also in controversy because of his depiction of sexuality in work. Thank you.
Very good morning, everyone. My name is SARAVAIYA. Last day of presentation, I'm going to make a presentation on war poetry from past to present. This is my academic information, things which we are going to discuss in the presentation. And let's start with introduction. So, war poetry stands apart from conventional poetry, and its a distinct focus on the experiences, emotions, and impact of war. War poetry is distinguished by its focus on the subject matter, themes, perspective, tone, and purpose related to the war and armed conflict, setting it apart from other forms of poetry. So there are many forms of poetry, but how war poetry is different from other poetry, it is mentioned here. The literature of war is a literature of paradoxes, the greatest of which is the fact that is continuously on its own failure. Its own failure. I mean, it is always when we read the war poetry, we comes to know that the war poetry is full of difficulties and how the poor situation was. It so in that case, how it's shown its own failure. So what is war poetry? When we are discuss the war poetry, so firstly we should know that what is war poetry. War poetry stands apart from conventional poetry and its distinct focus on experience and emotion. So this is written here because when we gone through the war poetry, we comes to know that most of all the war poetries are written by soldiers, and soldiers mostly use their own experiences in the war poetry. War poetry can be written from various perspectives, including soldiers, veterans, civilians, and even bystanders. These diversities of perspective allows a multifaceted exploration of war and its effect on individuals and communities. The tone of war poetry is often sober, reflective, and at times confrontational. It may convey a sense of urgency, outrage, or despair, depending on the poet's personal expression and views on the war. So let's discuss some major war poets. And as we start the discussion of war poetry, so we can start with the name of Wilfred Owen because he can be considered as like a father of war poetry. Wilfred Owen was a British renowned, poignant, and powerful war poetry, particularly from First World War. He served in in British Army, and he was died early. Despite his brief life, Owen's impact on the world of poetry was profound, and its work continued to be studied and admired. For as we know that he's the one of poetry in our syllabus. So Wilfred Owen is the most influential, can we say, considered most influential war poet. These are his notable works. There's the second last, Jules said decorum est. This is we have in our syllabus. The very next war poet is Siegfried Sassoon. He was indeed a prominent war poet during First World War. He was born in 8 September. So he served as an officer in British Army. Sassoon's poetry is characterized by its raw honesty, vivid imagery, and condemnation of horrors of poetry. So the very next theme of war poetry is horror of war. Like Owen, he wrote extensively about the physical and psychological toll of trench warfare, and well as the disillusionment and despair experienced by soldiers on the front of lines. The generals, and see the name of poetry is also they show that how it is poetry is the reflection of war poetry, like counter-attack based details. The very next war poet is the Rupert Brooke. He was also English poet actually, and known for his early war poetry, and he's associated with Georgian poets. And the last is this line is his lines from his poetry, The Soldier. If I should die, think only this of me, that there is some corner of the foreign field that is forever England. So this is like here Rupert Brooke has tried to mention the thing that relation between hometown and any soldier. And the same thing we can see in the one of T.S. Eliot's poetry, that is, if I'm not wrong, the title is To the Indians Who Died in South Africa, where we can easily find the theme of relationship between soldier and hometown. And it is almost like a romanticized this relation. The very next poet is Ivor Gurney. He was during World War. Gurney served as the private in the Worcestershire Regiment and saw action on the Western Front. And when we are talking war poetry, and so here there are many war poetries in war songs actually in Bollywood. And as we think the patriotic song, so the first maybe named is "Ae Mere Watan Ke Logo," which is a very prominent theme, a prominent name of patriotic songs, which is sung by Lata Mangeshkar, and it is written by Kavi Pradeep. And the very next song we will all may be familiar with is this song as well, Sandesh Aate Hain, from the movie Border. And this movie as well, maybe this movie, yes, I have see this movie. That this movie is totally based on the war, and we will come to know that what is the situation of war, what is the situation of families, what is the inner conflict of the soldiers. And the very this Ma Tujhe Salam is also a well-known example of war poetry, which is a song by A.R. Rahman, the legendary singer, celebrates the spirit of India and plays homages to the sacrifice made by soldiers to protect the nation. And the very next series, Ma Tujhe Salam, is the movie. In this movie also consists the theme of love relationship as love and relation as well. And nowadays we see that all the Bollywood movies which are related with the war and war poetries. So we comes to know that this every movie also consists the theme of love story as well. So there is maybe the video of Dhruv Rathi maybe. So he saw in the poem that nowadays we have that movie Mangalyan. So what the creators do that I don't know why, but they every time they add the love relationship in any movie. Like what is needed, why it is needed in the Mangalyan movie. So same thing we can see in this movie as well. Like this movie is also consists love story. The very recent example is Teri Mitti from the movie Kesari. According to me, it is well watched movie. Sung by B. Prag, this emotional song captured the sacrifice made by Indian soldiers during the battlefield of Saragadi. a historic battle fought in 1897 between 6 soldiers of the British Army and Pashtun triumvirs. This notable thing here, if you be familiar with the movie, we comes to know that 6 soldiers was fought in part of British Indian Army. And these are some examples which I got from the ChatGPT, the contemporary time, the war poetries of contemporary time. Homecoming, firstly, the Homecoming by Warsan Shire. Shire's poem explored the emotional aftermaths of the war on soldiers returning to home. So, as I firstly mentioned, the poetry of T.S. Eliot, that how the situation of families and home when the soldiers are at the battlefield. The War Works Hard by Danya Mikhail. These poems provide a perspective on the impact of war, civilians, and daily life in a war-torn region. And this work is Mikhail is she write very impactfully that what is war and what is the effect of war on psychologically, how it affects on the soldier. Like after the war, they are also still they are in remembering and still they are in a like a trauma of war. This last one, The Hurt Locker by Brian Turner. This photo is about Brian Turner actually, Turner, and he was a veteran of Iraq War. Writes about his experience in combat. So this combat is like a kind of a training in which the soldiers have to repair the machineries. They have to help other soldiers, and they have to also face the enemy's attack as well. And this Turner was a veteran, so he saw the maybe war from a very near. And this Hurt Locker poetry is when I was going through the poetry, I comes to know that sometimes this Hurt Locker poetry is conflict between duty and morals of a mind of soldiers. The last example is The Long Deployment by Jehane Debro. She is an Afghanist poetess. And the situation of war poem in contemporary time. What is situation? This was the earliest was the example of what is the situation is. So ChatGPT answered this actually, and it says that war poetry has evolved over the last decades, reflecting changing perspective on warfare, technology, and social values. While traditional themes of heroism, sacrifice, and loss persist, modern war poetry often explore the psychological toll of conflict. The experiences of non-convicts and the complexity of contemporary welfare, including the rise of asymmetric welfare and impact of technology. So the effect of technology is maybe the new thing from which is different from the earliest war poetry and the new poetries. And this I got this video from YouTube that it is the very recent video. As we know that recently we have this Ukraine and Russia war. So the government of Russia, government of Ukraine have shared this video of his soldier where a soldier play a piano kind of song and play a piano in the battlefield. Maybe the speech. See, showing a Ukraine soldier playing a piano from inside a very building. See the building, see the situation of building. It is kind of school or any that kind of location. So this was and I have a link here. It is because it is maybe a very recent example of Ukraine. And when I searching for this, there are many videos of that kind of thing, that a soldier play a piano, and there are many messages as well from the soldiers that we are in a battlefield, we are battling with enemies, but we don't want to battle. We don't want to we don't want to stay in this situation, but still we have this duty, and that is why we are playing this. And to conclude this presentation, war poetry has long served as a poignant and evocative reflection of the human experience during time of conflict. Through vivid imagery, raw emotions, and profound introspection, war poets offer a window, in fact, into the realities of war, capturing the brutality, heroism, and profound loss that accompany armed conflict. From ancient epics to contemporary verses, war poetry transcends border and generation, bearing witnesses to the universal truth of war's impact of individual, society, and the human soul. So, you can visit these sources for the reading. And thank you. If anyone have a question, then please ask.
So, Kusum, my question is, in what ways does war poetry contribute to our understanding of the psychological effects of war on individuals and society?
Okay, so the war poetry is basically on mainly it is about the experiences of soldiers. So maybe when we have gone through the society, when we reader gone through the poetry, he comes to know that what was the difficulties and what was the psychological condition of soldier. So maybe it can help us to connect the war poetry and connect the soldier individually as well. Next question, please.
So, Kusum, my question is that while Bollywood songs may not be written by soldiers who have witnessed war, can their war-themed poems still be as effective as the original war poems?
Yes, it's the thing. I also forgot to mention that Bollywood songs are not written by soldiers. They are patriotic songs. They are war poems, but they are not written by soldiers. So it can be questionable that it is also effective or not. So as we know all the songs as well, that Mere Watan Ke Logo and Ye Watan Mere Watan Razi movie and all. So readers always try to give their best to say the thing that how it is effective and how it is patriotic. But sometimes they are failed, or maybe sometimes we have that hit songs as well. So maybe sometimes they are successful to show the real effect, to show the psychological psychological situation of soldier, and sometimes they can fail as well. So thank you.
Submitted. You will the next turn, then you can come afterwards. Next. Kavita.
Hello everyone. Very good morning to all of you. Today the presentation topic of the exploring the stream of consciousness and English literature. It's my academic information. It's a table of content. Let's start my presentation with the introduction. Stream of consciousness is the one of the narrative technique, and its use in English literature is like a term and capturing the character's thoughts process in a realistic way. It's an interior monologue, but it's also more than that, because mimicking is a non-linear way our brain works. Stream of consciousness narrative include a lot of association, looping, repetition, sensation, observation, and strains. Pronunciation and syntax, all which will help to us better understanding character's psychological state and worldview. It means to feel like you have into the stream of characters conscious, or like you are a fly of the ball of their mind. Origin in the term stream of stream of consciousness, how to come in English literature, and the first pioneer origin, and what is father of stream of consciousness. The stream of the term was first used by psychologist William James in his book The Principle of Psychology in 1890. As the psychological novel developed in the 20th century, some writers attempt to capture the total flow of their characters' consciousness rather than limit themselves to rational thoughts. Because he was the pioneer and search this term is the stream of consciousness in English literature. That the reason he was the father of stream of consciousness. First off, what is stream of consciousness, and how work in the English literature? First off, the style in literature that is used to represent the character's feeling and thought as experience them, using long, continuous pieces of text throughout the obvious organization or structure. The diagram is like a stream and consciousness. Stream and consciousness like a two word. Stream is like a river, and consciousness like a thinking. Is like a part. Thinking is like a part of brain, and river is the flow. Our mind is like a thinking process, and like a thinking of the flow in our human mind. That the stream of consciousness. And our mind is the memory, like a past memory and present memory is the also the one GIF is like first is the past of memory, and second is the present memory. Both are showing that in the both are content, and that flow is the in our mind that time is what that situation, and the term was a stream of consciousness. Definition: the continuous flow of our sense, perceptions, thoughts, feelings, and
memories in the human mind, or literary method of representing such a blending of the mental process in fictional character, using an unperspected or disjointed form. It's like a stream of consciousness is not a perfect form that one type of the writer or novelist etc. was thinking and feeling, and that everything is written in the writing. No any changes, and what you think that you also write. Never any changing in the work. Some characteristic of the stream of consciousness, how to how to know that work and novel extra was fictional is a stream of consciousness. The characteristic was also continuous flow. Stream of consciousness presented a continuous stream of character, thought, emotion, and senses without interpretation. Fragmented structure. Rather than flow, linear progression, stream of consciousness, narrative often appear fragmented and non-linear. Inner exploration. Characters' inner world and explore in depth the focus on their thoughts and memory and perceptions. This technique often inside the complexity of their psyche. The inner exploration is like not outer, is the thought of in the human mind and the memory of the thoughts. Multiple perspective. Stream of consciousness can include the thought of multiple characters, provide diversity point of viewpoint and experience. That like not one character is like one type of novel is the character was thinking the one process and think out the in the sometime after this think out the different characters. Free association. Thoughts are linked through the free association. Allow for spontaneous and associative flow of idea, memory, and senses. Subjectivity. Reality is a depicted subjectivity shaped by the character's perspective and experience. This emphasizes the subjective nature of truth and reality. Introspection. Character engage into introspection, reflecting their own thoughts, emotion, and motivation. Their introspection mode allows for the deeper character development and psychological insight. Experiment language. Stream of consciousness often explore the experimental language and stylistic device. Is the experiment like that work was written and that time is like we are like experiment or what do you think that right, and that experiment or language is like no exchange and no other changes. Stream of consciousness writer has two things. In written in the novel or fictional and English literature, that time writer was this term was stream of consciousness is the two things was he was repeat the actual text of texture of consciousness, and second was he has instilled some meaning from for their readers. Different of interior monologue and stream of consciousness. Sometimes we are think about stream of consciousness and interior monologue is like both are same, but that similar, different in the both things. First of interior monologue, the focus on thought of single character, and stream of consciousness can include the thought of multiple character. Just example of the one type of like one character was a thing is like a single thought, and stream of consciousness is like a multiple character. One time is like think about the one character, and like in thought was action in the different, as like not stay in the one character but changing in the multiple character. Interior monologue has a structured form resembling stochastic self-dialogue.
and stream of consciousness often lack of linear structure, appearing the fragmented non-linear thought are linked through their free association. The interior monologue was a perfect structure, but like a language and dialogue, self-dialogue, but a stream of consciousness like a perfect structure and non-linear. Interior monologue may include the address of clear self-reflection and stream of consciousness incorporate dream, memory, sensory expression. And interior monologue was a language, synaptic, and typical, clear, and comprehensible. And stream of consciousness like language and syntax are experimental, include fragmented, sentence, and wordly. As the interior monologue was like syntax, the typical clear means the language is proper grammatically, and everything was the proper structure, and grammar was perfect, no any mistake in the language, and comprehensible. But like a stream of consciousness, like a language was as like experimental. No proper structure was like a grammar, and it's like sentence is like sometimes like a play with words. Some literary example of work. James Joyce, the novel Ulysses, one of the most prominent example of the novel Ulysses. James Joyce is published on 1920. In the novel, is so the term was used as a stream of consciousness, immerse the readers in the mind of its character and capture the pulse of the Dublin through a kaleidoscope in the inner monologue and sensory expression. Second was Virginia Woolf, Mrs. Dalloway. That's the link also, because you whole article in the link, because my presentation was so long. After I was include in the, so I will include inside link in this whole article in this Mrs. Dalloway. Is the novel was also invited the readers witness day in the life of protagonist Clarissa Dalloway. As agreed with complexity, identity, memory, and societal expectations. And Virginia Woolf, other work like Lighthouse, with also use of stream of consciousness. And William Faulkner's novel is Sound and Body. Is the term was also used a stream of consciousness that published in 1929 in English language. Navigate the turbulent water of composite families consciousness, weaving together past and present thoughts that fragment perspective of the characters. That's all. Three novels are in the English literature was also use a stream of consciousness. And last conclusion. In conclusion, explore a stream of consciousness in English literature, provide profound journey into the depth of human consciousness through these narrative techniques. Authors unleashed inner worlds of characters' mind, relevance of fluidity and complexity of human thoughts. For pioneers, origin of contemporary experimental stream of consciousness, challenging traditional storytelling. Offering readers unequal and imperfect experience, untimely invite us to reflect our diversity of perspective, the interconnectedness of humanity, and the boundless nature of human imagination. That's my references, and thank you. Now, if you have questions, please.
So, Kavita, my question is to you: can the use of stream of consciousness in the literature be compared to the experience of navigating social media feeds? where thoughts and emotions appear in a continuous flow?
Yes. The use of stream of consciousness in literature can be compared the experience of navigate social media feed. That thoughts and emotion appear in the continuous flow. In the literature was human memory and thoughts also processed, and also it's like in the experience navigate social media feels like regular post and memes and feeds that thoughts to inner humans emotion and that flow of mind that constantly stream of consciousness in by the through our navigate social media feeds. Yes. So, Kavita, my question is that do you believe stream of consciousness is an effective tool for exploring themes of memory and trauma in literature? Why or why not? Yes, I believe the stream of consciousness is a effective tool for explore theme of the memory and trauma in literature. Because the human mind was also is like a trauma and the trauma and memory was also people was thinking about, and that through was like yeah, that theme was trauma is like a human mind, and that memory was also is exchanging, and that thought was experimental, and sometimes that our thought was like someone says like that fiction and story, and we are say think about that thing was also related me, and that stream of consciousness was different thought one person to another, and that. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Last day presentation, I am going to present war poetry's impact on public perceptions and conflict understanding. This is my personal information, table of content. Introduction of war poetry. War poetry is the literary genre that developed during the periods of the First World War. It is the shadow of brutal life among the soldiers during the First World War. The war poets were mostly young men who volunteered or were conscripted to fight in the trenches of the Western Front. The war poets wrote their poetry to raise the questions of either life or death, national pride or on existence, duty or guilt, courage or cowardness. The war poets or trench poets are known as anti-war poets because the soldier camp poets do not show war's gravity but the war's futility. They wits the horrors of modern warfare such as gas attack, shell shock, machine guns, barbed wire, mud and rats. They also experienced to freedom, futility, and disillusionment of life in the trenches. Some of them died in battle, while others survived with physical and psychological scares. Broadly speaking, Milton's Paradise Lost or Ancient Beowulf are mainly concerned with battles and heroism, and thus regarded the war poem. But our immediate concerns is war poetry in the 19th century, which is notable for the sea change in attitude. In contrast to the romantic attitude to war as a glorious occasion for showing patriotism and heroism. Poetry is the best way to express someone's emotions and expressions during the war. Another main reason for writing war poetry is to show the true picture of the war. It created a sense of the war poets use poetry as a way of expressing their feelings and opinion about the war. They also questions the authority and morality of those who start and continue the war. There is the list of the most prominent anti-war poets who were involved directly in the war and eyewitness to see the brutality in the name of national pride on the battlefield. Wilfred Owen, Siegfried Saxon, Robert Graves, Isaac Rosenberg, Rupert Brooke, Edward Thomas. Power of words, war poetry and public perceptions. In the 20th century, war poetry played a circular role in shaping public perceptions of conflict, particularly World War I. Poets like Wilfred Owen, Siegfried Sassoon, and Robert Brooke used words to vividly depict the honor of war, challenging romanticized nation, and portraying the harsh reality faced by soldiers. Their work exposed the brutality, futility, and psychological toll of warfare, evoke empathy and stirring anti-war sentiment among the public. Through poignant imagery and emotional depth, this poet highlighted the human cost on conflict, influencing public opinion and contributed to broader social and political movement, advocating to peace and recognition. Disillusionment with war. The stream of patriotic and militarist literature that has flooded the world during the last 5 years seems at length to be running dry. Europe is slowly returning. We may hope to sanity and reason, and men are beginning to see war. It is really is in all its hideous consequences. Today, we are fear indeed from the mood in which Robert Brooke wrote his soul string 1914 sonnets, knew that he was interpreting the mind of his country. Millions since then have produced out the red sweet wine of youth and poured it over largely in wine, and the war that was to end war has sown the seeds of innumerable wars to come. One by one, the young men and of letters who have fought and suffered have taken up their pensions more, and the attitude of some, at least of the theme, is loyalty, different from that of the older men who, staying at home, demanded in their duty to place their talents and as a service to their governments for the propaganda of hate and mispresentations by which the war spirit and of the allied nations has been maintained. One has sorrowfully to admit that they merely fed the public with the stuff that the voice fears. Majority clamored for, other voice were silently for the time. A very similar convention of the manifest by Sir Philip Gibbs in his latest book, the first he has been able to write and unraveled by the cancer of the realities of war. Unhappily, poets in England only appeal to very limited audience, and largest does of disillusionment to which the British public has been subjected was probably contained masterly study of the economic consequences of the peace. With the claptrap oratory of old time still running in our ears, he revealed to us at a first hand the revealed force that were dedicating the peace term to Germany, and the hollowness of the allied His clearly resound narrative comes as a Dutch of cold water to this vindictive optimism, who still profess to believe it possible to bring enormous identities of the striving Germany. It is Mr. Keynes' expositions of the economic position of Europe that will force the basic of revision of the peace, terms which everything man now admits to believe inevitable, and it's only a speedy revision that there is any hope to peace for the world. Empathy and the human cost. War poetry personalized the experience of soldier, fostering empathy for those caught in the conflict. Poem explore theme of fear, loss, camaraderie, giving voice to the emotional toll of war by humanizing soldier. War poetry challenges dehumanizing portrayals of the enemy. War poetry goes beyond battlefield descriptions to explore the profound human cost or conflict. Poems delves into the emotional experience of soldier, conveying themes of fear, loss, and the deep camaraderie forged in the face of shared hardship. By giving voice the inner lives of soldier, war poetry chips away at dehumanizing the stereotypes of the enemy, fostering empathy and understanding. In war poetry, empathy often serves as a powerful tool to convey human cost of conflict. Poets deals into the emotional expression of soldiers, civilians, and families affected by war, highlighting their pain, loss, and longing. For soldiers, war poetry captured the physical and psychological wounds inflicted on them in battle, as well as the camaraderie and bonds formed amidst the chaos and the danger. Poets deals into the inner turmoil of soldiers, grappling with the fear, guilt, and the moral complexities of war, humanizing their experience and intimate reader to emphasize with their struggle. Through empathy, war poetry seek to bridge the divide between the distant conflict and the lived experience to those affected, fostering a deeper applications for the inherent dignity and worth of every human life. Enduring legacy, war poets as a collective have been instrumental in capturing the essence of conflict, the human cost of warfare, the profound emotional experience of soldiers and civilians alike. These poets, primarily from World War I and II, painted vivid picture and the battlefield, the trenches and the emotional toll of war, creating lasting impressions that would shape our understanding of conflict for generation. During World War I, poets like Wilfred Owen, Siegfried Sassoon, Robert Brooke detailed the grim realities of life on the front lines. Unlike the romanticized various of the war often portrayed in the media, these poets presented war for what was bloody, brutal, and often senseless. The significance of war poetry, especially from the earlier 20th century, lies in the capacity to humanize statistics. The war poets gave voice to this pain, ensuring that the personal expressions of those affected by conflict would not be forgotten. Today, the legacy of war poetry is more relevant than ever. As the world grapples with new forms of conflict, including cyber warfare, drone strikes, the ideological battles, and the need for voice to humanize and critique these events remain important. Today, warfare and its aftermath can be read around the world instantly. Poetry offers a space for reaction, allowing reader to consider the personal expressions behind the headline. War poets hold a mirror to society, forcing us to confront the reality or to conflict and the profound impact it has on individual and communities. As a global conflict continue to evolve, the voice of war poets remain essentially tools in making sense of chaos. In conclusion, the impact of war on public perceptions and conflict understanding is produced then enduring. War shapes how people view themselves, their society, and the world at large. They influence media coverage, government's propaganda, and personal experience, shaping public opinion and attitude toward conflict. Furthermore, war can lead to shift in social norms, collective memory, and historical narrative, affecting how future conflict are perceived and interpreted. Ultimately, the consequences of war on public perception and conflict understanding are complex and far-reaching, reflecting the interconnectedness of human experience in times and turmoil and strife. This is my reference. Thank you. Anyone have questions? To feel free to ask.
So, Vishwa, my question was, what role does emotion play in the war poetry compared to the historical record of war?
Emotion is a war poetry. Evoke on empathies and connection to expression conflict and to historical record. Portraitize the factual documentation.
Vishwa, my question is, how does war poetry differ from the traditional accounts of conflict?
War poetry convey to the personal emotion and expressions of war, while traditional accounts accounts on focus and factual details and analysis. Thank you.
So, hello everyone, myself HIRAL VAITHA, and I'm going to deal with the topic Inside the Mind, Unraveling Stream of Consciousness in Bollywood cinema. So, these are my academic information, a table of contents, and introduction of the topic that stream of consciousness is a narrative technique portraying characters' continuous thoughts and feelings without structure plot. In Bollywood, I am going to deal Tamasha and Dear Zindagi. The both movie delve into human emotion and identity. Similarly, the Lunchbox movie offer a glimpse into the characters' inner thoughts. And in literature, I am going to deal with also 1984, the novel by George Orwell, and Henry's short story, The Last Leaf also. So the things employ these techniques, adding the psychological depths of the narrative. So let's discuss what's the stream of consciousness. So according to James William, the stream of consciousness is flowing like a river without thoughts and feeling constantly shifting and changing. In another definition, Bolling, despite the fact that the stream of consciousness technique occupies an important position in 20th century fiction, there is no general agreement. And in the article of Stroye, consciousness then does not appear itself, chop up it bits. Such a words as chain or train do not describe it fitly, as presents itself in first instant. It is not nothing jointed, it flowers. A river or a stream are metaphors, which by which it most naturally described in talking of it hereafter. Let us call it a stream of thought. So here the book of James William, which in which he discussed the proper definition and the concept of the stream of consciousness. In that James also discussed about that how it's shifting towards the another topic, and from one topic to another topic, and maybe in some time it going to be similar topics also, maybe it's going towards different topics also. So in the each article and the book, I want to call your attention to the discontinuous character of thought, the complete inappreciations of James expression, the stream of thoughts. So basically in this book, Geach is defending the James William, and he is giving some another statements also. So, according to Geach, contested William James' notion of the stream of the thought, asserting that while sensory process may be exhibit stream-like quality, and the same cannot be said of for conscious thought. This debate brings the attention to the differentiation between cognitive and sensory expressions, emphasizing the distinction between the two. So, basically, in this both the debate, we found that they both are defeating. William James giving a statement, and Geach is going to defeat through his words. Like it's not all the same for some all the time. It's going to change in another time. It's going to change another second also. So it ties into ongoing discussion within the ontology of mind, particularly regarding the temporal attributes of mental phenomena and their categorization. In the Geach's argument, underscores the significance of temporal aspects in the comprehending the nature of mind, highlighting their relevance in the philosophical discourse. The implications of the debate extend the current deliberations on the perpetual experience, notably concerning the interplay between the connect and phenomenal characters. So these are the debates between the Geach and William James. So now, furthermore, I'm going to discuss example in the Bollywood movie. So first, I'm going to deal with the Tamasha movie. In this movie, we can find that the Vagh's childhood portrayal, the various character reveals his rich and imaginative inner world. So in the childhood, he is going towards to old men that tell me a story, and each and every time he is going to told him different time of stories, and like connectivity of different stories, different characters also. So in the Ved and Tara's spontaneous action, and in the Corsica, defy societal norms, showcasing their true selves in the stream of consciousness. So in the Ved and Tara's love story, we found that in the song the Agar Tum Saath Ho, that consequences between the Ved and Tara. So it's also the showing us the differentiation between the thought line. In the Ved's monologue, he also exposes his conflict with the societal expectation, and demonstrating his inner turmoil and desire for authenticity. So basically, we found in that movie that Ved wants to do something about his passion, and but he is not going to deal with with the job, but due to the circumstances or due to the family pressure, he to be to be do the job. And in the Ved's on-stage performance intertwines the reality and fantasy, illustrating his journey on self-discovery through the stream of consciousness narrative. So we found in that drama, Ved is act like a robot, and Tara is act like a human. So they both are talking with each other. So that that stage performance showing us that how the self discovery through that stream of consciousness. In the Ved's acceptance of his true passion signifies the resolution of his internal conflicts and the triumph of his stream of consciousness. So so basically Ved wants to play characters, and he wants to perform on the stage, but due to family pressure and circumstances, he won't be able to do like that. And in the end, we find also that he is able to do that work. So in earlier class, I also discussed with you that I found some of the articles according the color symbolization in this movie also. So in the movie, we found in the song "Agar Tum Saath Ho." So the costume designing by Imtiaz Ali very signifies the role of brain and heart. So red of according to this article, color symbolize in the movies. What do colors mean in film? So according to this article, red often represent one of the two drastical different meanings. So the anger and violence, or passion and love. So in this song, and in this particular scene, we found that Deepika Padukone going to take a role of the love and the heart, and depending on which meaning to the creators intended, red objects or lightning could suggest that something dangerous is about to happen, or something romantic or sensual context matters greatly for the color red. So in this picture, we also found that Imtiaz Ali wants to symbolize that how heart is pampering the brain, that it's okay to be not okay all the time, and not to pretending that I am okay all the time. So in this particular scene, in that Imtiaz Ali wants to show that how heart pampering the brain. So according to the another one article, so in the song of Agar Tum Saath Ho, Ved is dressed in the colors of the brain or colorless, where the Tara is dressed in red, which is color of associated with the heart, which also symbolizes the constant tussle between the brain and heart. So another example, so it's the Dear Zindagi, and in the Kiara's inner turmoil, we found that life relationships vividly portrayed in the opening scenes through the rapid cuts. So in the starting of the movie, we found that how she is going to struggle for her passionate things, and her mental stress also, and for her job also. So in introspective discussion with her therapist, Dr. Jahangir Khan serves as the windows of Kaira's thoughts and emotion, unfolding her stream of consciousness, while the therapy with the Jahangir Khan, which is a role played by the Shah Rukh Khan. In that all the sequence, we found that how he going to heal and help the Kaira, which is feel very low, and we can say that she is very depressed in a mental strength. Through the dreams and flashback, Kaira subsequences, fears and desires emerge, revealing her stream of consciousness and narrative. So in the her life, he wants to be free, feel free, and feel free from mental stress. And in the end, we found that thing. Solitary moments on the beach provides Kaira with a space of introspection where her stream of consciousness unfold the amidst her inner conflicts. So where we found that in that scene, Shah Rukh Khan and Alia Bhatt also playing with the the seashore and all the things. And we found that how this character of Alia Bhatt is going to feel free in the futuristic scenes. So the Kiara's ultimate realization of the significance of self-love and acceptance mark the culmination of her journey of self-discovery and stream of consciousness. In the end of the movie, we found that the Kaira's character is going to free and is going to towards self-love, and it's translated into the self-lovable character. In the movie The Lunchbox, the daily exchange of notes between the Ila and Sergeant Fernandez become the conduit of for their innermost thought and emotion, embodying stream of consciousness. So basically, accidentally, Ila sends the tiffin for his husband, and the tiffin was exchanged and go for the Irfan Khan, which is. Who is played the role of Sergeant Fernandez, and accidentally they both are talking on the letters, and how it in the letters we found that the feelings and the emotions are exchanged through the letters. The scenes of Sergeant eating alone and reflecting on his life, highlighting the internal dialogues and stream of consciousness amidst loneliness and longing. So basically, Sergeant Fernandez is the alone man. Is the his wife is no more. So basically, he is the only person in the house. So in the night time and in the lunch time also, he is all the way he is thinking about the family and the how that he wants to erase all the loneliness from his life. Flashbacks to Ila's past and Sergeant's memories offer the insight into their inner worlds, unveiling the stream of consciousness and emotional depths also. So in between the letters, we found the flashback scenes also. So in that we found the emotions of their both characters. The heartfelt letter shared between the era and the Sergeant provides the platform for the expressing their deepest desires and vulnerability, illustrating a stream of consciousness. In the letter exchange, we found that they both are becoming friends or becoming lovers also. That but it unfortunately it's not going to be success at their end. But the feeling, or the we can say that the the Sahara we found in that each other, they feel good things towards each other. The ambiguous ending where Ila and Sajar's future remains uncertain and underscores the complexities of their stream of consciousness and leave the room of interpretation. They and at the end of that, Sajan is retired from the job and is going to village, and so ultimately at the end of the movie they are disconnected from each other. So in the example of novel 1984, the Winston's diary entire reveal his dissent against the party operation. So we found that the stream of consciousness is going to apply in from one thing to another thing. So we also studied this novel, and we found that Winston's diary is the stage where the all the feelings of the Winston we found presented there. In the moments of reflection shows the Winston's complecting society and his role in it. Dreams and nightmares are reflect the Winston's fear and desires also. Inner monologue question the party's propaganda and Winston's conformity. And the final thoughts of reveal Winston's realization of party, the tyranny of his own fate. So in the example of short story of O. Henry, The Last Leaf, we found that O. Henry's short story are known for unexpected ironic endings. So in this movie, that the both the character Jew and her friend. So basically, the one little girl who is she is ill, and she don't want to live in her life, and we found that at the end of the story, we found that due to the Mr. Burman's artwork, we found that she is going to live her life again. In the character interactions, reveal the thoughts and emotion indirectly. In the both of the friends interactions and the dialogues between the both the girls, we found that emotions and feelings of the both character indirectly. So the narrators occasionally offered the insight into the character minds. In the both character, we found somewhere the scenes of the past time and the present time also. So we going to one thing to another, one thing to another thing. Symbolism and the imaginary hint at the character's internal status. So, in conclusion, while some of works like 1984 and O. Henry's short stories may not existently employ the stream of consciousness technique, they nonetheless offer insights into characters' inner world through the various narrative device, and whether it's through the diary entires, dialogue, or unexpected ending also. These works are provide glimpse into the complexities of human thought and emotion, enriching the reading experience in inviting the readers of contemplate the intercases of the human psyche. So these are my works cited. Thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
So here my question was, what are the difficulties when using stream of consciousness method in popular Bollywood movies?
So basically, the difficulties to portray one film which is carry the concept of the stream of consciousness is that to attract the audience to innovative the storytelling or the style of storytelling, and as we discussed in this presentation, that the symbolize the things also, and so and so.
So, Hiral, my question is, how does using stream of consciousness affect the movie's flow, and how fast they feel?
So, in this concept, we found that in this type of movie, we are we feel that it's more relatable through the character and the dialogues and the storyline, which is going to transfer in the from the past and the present, and we found that in inner voice of the characters also. So we found that through the characters and through the all the scenes, we going to inner world of the characters. Thank you.
So good afternoon, everyone. Today my topic is Absurdism in Indian literature. This is my personal information, table of content, introduction. Absurdism is a philosophical concept that emerged in 19th and 20th century, emphasizing the fundamental conflict between human beings' search for meaning and the inherent meaninglessness of the universe. It's a posit that human existence is absurd, is inevitably encounter the absence of purpose or clear rationale for their existence. Absurdist literature often explores the theme of alienation, purposelessness, and absurdity of human endeavors. Brief history of the Absurdist movement. The Absurdist movement gained prominence in the early 20th century with the writer and philosopher like Albert Camus, Jean-Paul Sartre, and Samuel Beckett, exploring the concept of the absurd. Camus' philosophical essay, The Myth of Sisyphus, and Sartre play No Exit are considered seminal work of absurdism. The movement flourished in the post-World War II Europe, reflecting the disillusionment and existential crisis prevalent in the aftermath of the war. Absurdism in Indian literature. Absurdism in Indian literature explored the fundamental absurdity and meaninglessness of the human existence. Notable writers like Vijay Tendulkar, Girish Karnad, Mohan Rakesh, Dharamveer Bharti have incorporated absurdist themes and technique. They work including play, poetry, and prose, often depict the character trapped the hopeless situation, grappling with the existential angst. These writers challenge traditional narrative by subverting linear plot, blending myth and reality, and using surreal, non-realistic elements. Absurdism serve as a means to explore universal existential themes, provide social commentary, and push the boundary of literary convention in Indian literature. Example of absurdism in Indian literature. First example is a drama. The absurdist movement had a profound impact on Indian dramatic literature, with the playwright exploring theme of existential angst, alienation, and futility of human existence. Badal Sarkar's play, Baki Ityas. Badal Sarkar was a big deal in bringing the absurdism to Indian theatre. In Ibham Indrajit, the main character Indrajit feel like his life doesn't make sense, and the play gets pretty weird to show that. Baki Ityas also dives into how pointless wars and are and how we struggle for things that don't matter much. Second example of fiction. Indian novelists have embraced absurdist themes and technique to explore existential dilemmas and profound contradiction inherent in modern life. Salman Rushdie's work, Midnight Children, The Satanic Verses. Salman Rushdie, one of the India's most celebrated novelists, has incorporated element of absurdism into his magical realist narrative. In Midnight Children, Rushdie blurs lines between reality and fantasy, creating a surreal world where extraordinary mundane coexist. The Satanic Verses explore the theme of identity, migration, and place of the culture, presenting a fragmented and absurd reality that challenge conventional notion of the truth and belief. The third example is poetry. Indian poets have written poems about the absurd things, showing how life can be strange and confusing. They use the word to talk about the question and challenge what people usually believe. Arun Polatkar Jejuri. Arun Koladkar's seminal work Jejuri is a poetic exploration of the absurd through a series of witness and observation. Koladkar captured the contradiction and absurdity inherent in religious rituals and human behavior. The poem presents a surreal, often gratuitous portrayal of pilgrims, challenging the traditional notion of faith and spirituality. Common absurdist theme in Indian writing. First is questioning the nature of reality. Indian absurdist author intellectually weave narrative that challenge conventional perception of reality. They often depict a world where the boundary between what is the real and what is the illusory become the blur, and leaving the readers questioning the nature of existence itself. Existential angst and alienation. Absurdist work in the India deal into profound sense of isolation and disillusionment experienced by character, satirical social commentary. Indian absurdist author employed the satire and dark humor as a powerful tools to critique social norms and institute. Meta-fictional experimentation. Absurdist writer in India pushed the boundary of the traditional storytelling through meta-fictional experimentation. Comparing Western and Indian absurdist literature. Comparing Western and Indian absurdist literature, they both founder life's absurdities, but different way. Philosophy, they can both explore life meaninglessness, but Indian absurdist work often include idea from Hindu philosophy like karma and illusion. Story, Western absurdist tells you satire and surrealism, while Indian ones mix of folklore and mythology, often telling the story in liner way. Culture, India's history and society with its mix of religion and caste system shaped it absurdist literature focusing on social issue like inequality and traditional versus modern. Conclusion. In conclusion, absurdism is a significantly impact of Indian literature, offering the unique perspective on life, contradiction, and uncertainty. It influenced continue to shape the work of contemporary writer, enriching the literary landscape. The themes of existentialism and surrealism as a society evolves. The absurdism remain the relevant and insightful lens through which the explore complexity of human existence. This is my research. Thank you. Now, if you have any question, please ask.
So, Jay, my question is for you that how does absurdism contribute the exploration of existential themes in Indian literature?
The absurdism in Indian literature to the exploration of existential themes by unconventional existence, purpose, and unconventional life of meaning.
So, Jay, my question is, can you provide example of absurd situation on character in Indian literary works?
In Indian literature, we can many example of Indian literature. First novel is Girish Karnad Nagmandal is absurdity arise of reality and fantasy. And second is R.K. Narayan, the guide. R.K. Narayan character Raju, like absurdity arise by law and superstition in Raju character. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Today is the last presentation of SEM 2 and my name is NANDA. My topic name is Embracing the Absurd, Exploring the Surreal in Literature. This is my personal information. Points to ponder. First, what is absurd? Absurd term. The term absurd has acquired a wide and diverse connotations in modern philosophy, theology, and the arts, in which it expresses the failure of values to fulfill men's needs. The word has its etymological origin from the Latin word absurdus, and the meaning is unreasonable, out of place, foolish, ridiculous, and discordant, etc. The absurd therefore means something marked by obvious lack of reason, common sense, proportions, and accord with the accepted ideas. It is that is the illogical or logical, contradictory, thus meaningless. The word absurd means stupid, unreasonable, or silly in a humorous way. The founder of absurdism, a particular form of existentialism, it was strongly evident in some of the works Soren Kierkegaard, but was more expressly developed by Albert Camus in his essay *The Myth of Sisyphus* and his works of absurdist fictions, repudiating many assumptions found in atheistic nihilism and theistic existentialism as well as. What is absurd according to Camus? In philosophy, the absurd refers to a conflict between the human tendency to seek inherent value and meaning in life, and the human tendency to seek inherent value, meaning in life, and the inability to find any. In this context, absurd does not mean the illogically impossible, but rather humanly impossible. Absurd theory is the prominent offspring of Second World War. The genre explored the futile and the existentialist nature of human life, the breaking down of all logic, communication in a godless universe. Absurdist works will not necessarily have a traditional plot, structure, and characteristics. Now, the characteristic of absurdism, existential interest, and absurdism acknowledges the existential angst and anxiety that arises from realizations like lack of inherent meaning. And second, individual responsibility. Individuals are responsible for creating their own values and purpose in a meaningless universe. Embracing the absurd, and absurdism encourages acceptance and the embrace of life's absurdities without succumbing to despair. For the rebellion against despair, instead of the despairing in the face of meaningless, absurdism advocates for rebellion through the creation of personal being. These are the works. First, Samuel Beckett's his works, Waiting for Godot. It's written in 1949. It's a play dedicated to the absurd. Characters Balamidid, Estragon, Bozo, Lucky, and another messenger, one boy, and the Waiting for Border, written in is a play dedicated. Sorry, this is the work based on the belief that universe is irrational, meaningless, and the search for order brings the individual into conflict with the universe. Waiting for Godot is the best example of absurd literature where leafless tree and no development of plot show human condition. So this play totally deals with the life of modern man and it purposeless life. So through this article will impact of absurdism in Waiting for Godot. Second, myth of Sisyphus. Myth of Sisyphus, philosophical essay by Albert Camus, published in French in 1942 as the Lee Myth de Sisyphe. It uses the Greek legend of Sisyphus as a metaphor for a human being's constant struggle against the absurdities of life. Sisyphus was condemned for eternity to repeatedly roll a boulder uphill only to see it roll down in a never-ending cycle of physical and mental pain. Sisyphus' tragic fate is seen as one to rejoice at the by Camus, since his theory of absurdism advocates acceptance of human absurdity and seeking contentment that acceptance. Third, the birthday party. The absurdities used by Pinter can sometimes be funny and we can laugh at it, but his idea is to reflect how people felt their own realities. He uses this comic way to laugh at everything, even at tragic situations. Another important features of the this play is the way how two words are used weapons to avoid being hurt and not to reveal the past. Now explain how territory is inevitable related to personal anatomy and security and how the characters achieve this through their language. The funny and comic side of the play is revealed and interpreted differently at the end of the play. Next, we match that in the realm of entity researchers, the portrayal of the absurdity often manifests through the concept like reincarnations, where characters undergo multiple deaths and rebirths with entirely new identities and background. Supernatural events and characters defining scientific logic and add to the fantastical elements. Ye hai Jadoo Jinka, this magic is of the Jain, which centers on the love story between the human and powerful jinn, incorporating the mystical realms, magical powers, and inexplicable occurrences through its blend of romance and fantasy. The show captures the audience imaginations with its absurd and otherworldly elements. Also, we include in movies, our Bollywood movies, Chamatkar, second, Chani Dushman, etc. Now, legacy and impact. Absurdism continues to influence contemporary philosophy, literature, and art. Its explorations of human condition resonate with the audience, seeking understand existence and uncertain world. Absurdist ideas have also seeped into popular culture, inspiring movies, television shows, and music that reflect the absurdities and complexity of modern life. Now, the conclusion in absurdism offers a provocating lens through which to examine the human condition, highlighting the absurdity of existence and the futility of seeking an inherent meaning. From the philosophical musing of Albert Camus to the theoretical brilliance of Samuel Beckett's, absurdism challenges conventional thought and narrative structures. Absurdist literature and art characterized by illogical scenarios and surreal elements invite audience to confront life's inherent absurdity with courage, humor, and acceptance. Whether in literature, theater, or television, absurdism encourages us to embrace the irrationality of existence and find meaning in a very act of grappling with the absurd. This is my references. Thank you. Now, if you have any questions, please ask.
So, Nanda, my question is for you that can you recommend any contemporary authors who continues to explore absurd themes in their work?
I think first Eugenie UNESCO work is the and Eugenie UNESCO is work and the second Fred Kafka, which works is the Metamorphosis and the Drive. Next, another question.
So Nanda, my question is, can you think of any example of absurd situation in your own life?
Of course, yesterday I while I'm making presentation that time I asked to ChatGPT, please give me one example of absurd any that gives me an example. One time I asked, I'm not satisfied with this answer. So second time I asked, also not satisfied that answer. Third time I asked, but I'm not satisfied with this answer. So I at least 10 examples please give me. Then I choose in at once. Thank you.
Hello, I'm DHATRI and today I'm presenting the topic Unraveling Hypertext, Analyzing Postmodern Elements in Literature. In postmodern era, especially the timeline started with the late 1950s, the end of 20th century, with the writers and philosophers like Barthes, Derrida, Baudelaire, and all this made a significant change in literature, in theory as well. Now, with this, literature undergoes the significant transformation, and that was a kind of a hypertext. And with this, there is an emergence of non-linearity, interactive form, and storytelling. Especially hypertext is having a multifaceted layers and have an interconnective kind of feature that enables reader to engaging in this hypertext kind. It started from 1962 with the Mark Seporita's Composition Number 1, and later on by 1987, Michael Joyce's novel An Afternoon, which is given in the CD-ROM form. So you can, with that CD-ROM form, go through these multiple CD things and go through the whatever the narration is there. Question could be arise that how do the postmodern elements manifest in hypertext literature, and what insight can gain through analyzing this manifestation? So we will try to look at some of the postmodern elements which is connected with the hypertext fictions. Postmodernism is a term coined by Jean-Francis Lyotard in 1980s, and then with this there is a basic assumption that they are questioning the modern philosophy, modern ideas. They also evaluate skepticism and relativism and a general suspicion of reason. So it talks about what is the relativity of readers of it, and they also advocate the skepticism among the readers. Now this characterized through so many characteristics which is connected with the postmodernism, such as fragmentation, intertextuality, and metafiction, and questioning of the grand narrative. Now this leads to the hypertext. According to M.H. Abraham,
he defined hypertext in a glossary of literary terms that hypertext designates a non-sequential kind of text achieved by number of links and references to other texts. The result is to make experience of reading the hypertext non-linear, open, and variable. So he gave this definition of hypertext, and with this he also elaborate these elements of this, like links, which is their references, and open and variable. The term was coined by Ted Nelson in 1960s, and specifically it is connected with the computer and with the hyperlinks. It incorporates not just only the links and text, but it also incorporates graphics, sounds, and visuals as well. So the mechanics and meaning of hypertext altogether is that it has a functional thing, that it has a construction basically. Another is a semantic, that it reflects that how human minds work, that we are not able to stick to one thing at one thought. Similarly, this hypertext fiction captures the postmodern elements of having not linearity. In the article, Hypertext, Hypermedia, and Multimedia Defined, Denial Tolhurst say that the term hypertext refers to computer-based texts that are read in non-linear fashion and that are organized on a multiple dimension. So the very first element of hypertext is the fragmentation. However, there could be a contradiction on that it is basically made by the coding. So there it is linear, but while readers are viewing this hypertext, it is in a non-linear form. So it not follows any proper structure, and it is connected with the hyperlinks. This reflects the postmodern theme of the fragmentation. If you look at this example, then this is a prose that by clicking through this, you get another text. By clicking that text, you got another text. Clicking anywhere, you are moving to, like, if you are going through this search, by just a cursor, you got new text, new words. Now, this is something that is very interesting, and it is a kind of fragmented. So you are not able to make a meaning by just analyzing this paragraph, because we are not aware that what will come next, especially readers. We are talking about in that case. Another is non-linearity. Of course, as I talked earlier, that it is linear in the coding form, but while we are as a reader coming through any hypertext, then it is a non-linear. It is connected with Alice Bell in article Schema Theory, Hypertext Fiction and Links, highlighted that it is a fragments of text known as alexias or nodes are connected by hyperlinks. So readers are navigated through this, like in this poem. So readers are being captive and interesting by having this. So you are clicking here, the line is appearing. Now another line is appearing. By clicking this, the lines are appearing. So you are reading, and it is a kind of interesting thing that you are getting a new lines, and you are not able to see that what will come next. In that case, it not just only have a non-linearity, but we are not even aware that text will come from where. So if now this line has watching coast, so the lines are coming from the moving lines. So we are not even do the guesswork here that lines will come from where. So this is a kind of non-linear narrative. Another is multimodality. Hypertext fiction can incorporate various medias and elements like images, videos, sound effects, and even interactive elements. Some of it is in its infant stage. So there are multiple sites which is not accessible for every user. So that could be the limitation of it. But moreover, you can find some of these references of that, like this poem is like, if you are touching here, then you find a different kind of images. You are touching there and the text are also changing. So by clicking there, even the text of the diary was there is changing, and the numbers which is there in the corner that are also changing with this. And even you can, by touching here, you are going through any of the drawing is there, you are getting some of the message, some of the color. So this makes something that readers are being captive to come again there. So this is like that. And even some of the icons are having a kind of an interesting multimodality.
Another is collaborative creation, which is a postmodern element that now it is the decentralization of author. So the author is not decided. You can be author. So it is like providing a platform to every reader. It provides the reader the platform, and it also you can create the plot. So what will be the next? That is your a kind of a fan fiction, which is prevailing in postmodern time. That you can do whatever your hero want to do in the plot. So this is the collaborative creation, which is also the element of hypertext as well. So you are able to do the changes. You can make poetry. You can use your own metaphors, your own similes to create poem. So there is a choice of reader, which is become centralized in this. A reader's choice and agency, of course. According to Robert L. Slay in the article, the novel will not hold still for long and frequently changes as readers screen and rescreen it. So, especially the Victor Garden novel is there. So, while you are reading, so at first you are reading the novel, then you have a different story. Whenever you start it another time, you have a different story. Protagonist is doing different. So every time protagonist is doing something different. Now this is a kind of postmodern element which is there. So it makes even the text complex that you are not able to comprehend the meaning. But with the same time, you have one story with a different viewpoint. So now that makes something text more interesting in that way. Another is, of course, intertextuality and metafiction. This work, The Patchwork Girl, which was inspired by the Frankenstein's, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and now this is a kind of a hypertext which has multiple pages of the text, and you can start from any page and you lead to another page. So you are creating the story by connecting all the pages of this girl. So this, according to the Sarkar, given the multiple choices in the narrative, the readers are godlike power to control the narrative that author is writing. Now, this is the element that everyone wants, that you are feeling that you are doing something. Now, the postmodern, very postmodern elements is this, that you know that you are doing something. Now, this is something that you gave the power to the readers, and that is the very postmodern elements in that case. It also incorporates these, especially this work, this hypertext, various literary and cultural references, and create the patchwork narrative. So you can go through the multiple cultures, multiple literary narratives through one text. So the hypertext has this kind of profit in that case. So the conclusion would be the development of hypertext and literature in the world is still in its ascent, and its broad perspective will be very attractive and unpredictable. We cannot predict it. So what will be the next? However, with the interactivity, three-dimensional network, multimedia, database narrative, readers can have a glimpse of information, which was earlier not having whenever there was traditional narrative. Something was remained hidden that was not intended, like what is the next? It would all together was in the hand of the author. Why? The hypertext that directly gives to the readers to it that case. So as technology continues to evolve, hypertext literature invites us to rethink the boundaries of storytelling and explore the new frontier of literary expression. With readers' contribution in hypertext, it creates another kind of storytelling, another kind of literary expression, which could be like a patchwork that everyone has their different viewpoints, and now all together they are making one patchwork and one dot. So it could be a kind of a challenging as well in that case, and it could be the interesting as well in that case. These are my references, and thank you. If you have any question, feel free to ask.
So Dhatri, my question is, what potential future direction do you see for hypertextual literature in the age of digital culture and interactive storytelling?
As I have earlier said, that it is in its infant stage. Still, it is developing, and in that case, there are so many sites of the hypertext or even the electronic literature which is not accessible for everyone. So with the development of its future direction could be like there should be the accessibility for everyone, so that the readers are attracted towards the electronic literature. So it is not in the mainstream era right now because of this inaccessibility or some of the technological issue. But if we could make the sites available and accessible for everyone, then it would be easier for readers to navigate through these hypertext fiction and especially electronic literature, and that can make create more audience for it. So if there is a more audience, then there is more exploration of this kind of an interactivity and storytelling, and more of the kind of mingling of the culture as well. So the accessibility would be, if there was good accessibility for readers, then it would be easier for readers to navigate through these electronic literature.
My question is, what are some potential limitations or criticism of hypertext literature from a postmodern perspective?
Okay, so the very first limitation is, as I have said, that it is a non-linear kind of a thing. So readers are thinking that the text is ended here, but that doesn't mean that text is ended here. You are deciding your end, but text could be remained. So by clicking that links, you can navigate to through the other links. So there is a kind of, we are not aware that how much text would be there. So while exploring this, there is a limitation of a person, individual in that case. If you are thinking that my limitation is here, then it is your end, but it is not actual end. So there is a limitation that we are not aware about what is the whatever the whole text is there. Another thing is a kind of course, accessibility, as I have said earlier, and another thing is a kind of, it challenges the traditional narrative. However, by navigating, there are some kind of pattern that you can go through. If you are clicking this link, you are navigate to this link. So there are only limited patterns to follow this. So above that, you cannot go for that. So you are shaping the narratives within that links also. So you are navigating to second or third links now, that shaping your interpretation. So that also based on that. Another thing could be the individual knowledge. Like you can interpret only based on your understanding of this poem or of any hypertext literature, especially. So if you don't want to do the write of paper or you want to elaborate this, then you have to, it varies from people. Like you are, it is your interpretation would be different and other people's interpretation would be different. So you cannot found out similar kind of things in one particular works also. So that is also a kind of a limitation in that case. Okay, thank you so much.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. Today I'm going to deal with the topic of disrupting reality absurdism in the birthday party by HIRAL Pinter. This is my personal information, table of content, and according to Merriam-Webster, absurdism means a philosophy based on the belief that the universe is irrational and meaningless, and that the search for order brings the individual into conflict with the universe. In the birthday party, as the theater of absurd, theater of the absurd emerged post World War II, depicting life as a illogical and meaningless. Absurdity stems from industrialism, urbanization, scientific progress, and wars eroding faith in religion. The birthday party was Pinter's
debut full-length play which explores modern man's sense of helplessness and unease. Absurd elements include unclear sense, dialogues, and plot with emphasis on silence and lack of communication. Introduction of Harold Pinter. He was born on October 10th, 1930, London, and died on December 24th, 2008 in London. He renowned English playwright during post World War II. He known for complex and challenging dramas. He was noted for use of understatement, small talk, and silence in conveying characters' thoughts. Contradiction between speech and inner thought. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 2005. Introduction of the Birthday Party by Harold Pinter. The Birthday Party, Harold Pinter's 1958 drama, established his comedy of meanness with a sense of vague external threats, and the play unfolds in the shabby rooming house where Stanley, a lazy brother, faces mysterious punishment from two strangers for undisclosed crimes. Seemingly innocent birthday party transformed into the display of violence and terror, highlighting Pinter's exploration in paranoia and isolation. Pinter used the dialogue, including pauses and disjointed conversation, reinforced the atmosphere of unease and non-sequiturs in the play. Second one is absurdist element in a birthday party. The play's absurdity is evident in the portrayal of disjointed information, blurring the lines between reality and illusion. Despite the detailed personal information about the characters, their true identities remain shrouded in mystery. Stanley, the protagonist, leads a life of aloofness and frustration, seeking refugee from society in isolation. The unclear facts about Stanley's past raise doubt about his identity and profession, which contributing to the absurdity. The intrusion of Macon and Goldberg, representing the society, and results in the brutal and inhuman persecution of Stanley for reason left ambiguous. Stanley's quest for a respected artistic identity, thwarted by social norms, highlighting the absurdity of individualism versus conformity. Pinter's deliberate use of truncated dialogue, inconsistency, ambiguity, and nonsense intensifies the audience's sense of dread and uncertainty, akin to Kafka's works. Absurd elements in three major points. Confusion and chaos. The birthday party exemplifies the absurdist theater focus on confusion and chaos, primarily depicted through the ambiguous lives and past of the characters. The mysterious past of Stanley, the enigmatic identity of Goldberg, and Meg's self-delusions contribute to the unfolding chaos and culminating in a sense of impending disruption and chaos evident from the arrival of Goldberg and Macon. The birthday party illustrates the absence of truth, depicting only chaos and confusion, particularly through the characters like Meg and Patty. Meg and Patty's meaningless conversation in the opening section of Acts 1 and 3 emphasize the hopelessness and emptiness of their lives, highlighting the futility of existence. Here is the one conversation of Meg and Patty. In this dialogue, the metaphor in the birthday party highlighting the absurdity of human life and existential sufferings. of the characters. Stanley's sufferings and violations on his peace and security serves as allegories for the inevitable power of individuals. Absurdist plays Pinter's do not offer the clear meaning of model presenting human situation, and they are not as they should be. Pinter's characters are fleeting, representing life at a given moment, leading to various interpretations without insights into their past or future. Second one is complacency. The birthday party represent a bleak view where the only alternative to chaos in apathy and complacency. Patty and Meg comfortable but mundane life symbolize this complacency marked by superficial conversation and avoidance of deeper issues. Stanley, through more assertive, also exhibits a complacency by accepting his lethargic lifestyle without striving of change. The arrival of Goldberg and Macon disrupt this complacency, leading to chaos and upheaval. Ultimately, Petty's decision to prioritize the comfort of the boarding house over defending Stanley's reflects the lack of appealing choices in the face of chaos and complacency. Third one is violence. The birthday party portrays pervasive violence, both physical and emotional, suggesting it as a inevitable aspects of life. Despite the seemingly pleasant setting, the characters exhibits potential for violence, particularly when provoked. Stanley demonstrates cruelty towards Meg and cowardice towards other men, while Macon and Goldberg struggle to condition their violent outbursts. The operation led by Macon and Goldberg through outwardly civil is revealed to the sinister purpose involving the slow torture of Stanley, leading to the nervous breakdown. Language itself becomes a tool of violence in interrogation scenes, highlighting the insidious nature of verbal abuse. Women in the play, such as Meg and Lulu, are subjected to the intimidation and assault, further emphasizing the pervasive nature of violence. The constant thread of violence and looms throughout the play, creating a tense atmosphere heightened by silence and anticipation. Another one is the subversion of traditional narrative structure. The birthday party explored the layers of cultured wisdom through Goldberg's recitation of cliché advice, highlighting the emptiness of such cliches. Goldberg's genealogical speech emphasized the significance of family, father, and law in Stanley's crisis, yet lacks sufficient explanation for this relevance. While some critics view Goldberg's anecdotes as provoking ethnic color and comic relief, Pinter's consistent concern for the unspeakable in origins suggested a deeper textual significance. Goldberg's sudden mention of the non-textual great-granny signifies a departure from culture cliches and echoing Pinter's themes of unspeakable. Pinter's drama challenges the desire for narrative consonance, presenting a structural ego where meaning is contested and signification in refused, reflecting the struggle against conventional form of meanings. Fourth one is theme of alienation and isolation. The Birthday Party by Harold Pinter explored the themes of alienation and isolation, highlighting the absurdity of human existence. The characters in the play, particularly Stanley, experience profound alienation from society and leading to their isolation of detachment from meaningful connections. Pinter uses absurd elements such as disjointed dialogue and ambiguous characters' motivation to underscore the absurdity of the characters, of which futile attempt to escape their alienation and find connection. In the conclusion, the Birthday Party by Harold Pinter serves as a compelling exploration of absurdism, disrupting traditional notions of reality and challenging audiences to confront the inherent chaos and meaninglessness of human existence. Through its depiction of disjoint dialogue, ambiguous character motivation, and pervasive sense of alienation, Pinter deftly exposed the absurdity of social norms and the futile quest for meaning in the world characterized by uncertainty and disillusionment. As the characters grapple with forces beyond their control and confront the existential dread that permits their lives, and Pinter invites audience to reconsider their own perception of reality and embrace the inherent absurdity of the human condition. Thus, the Birthday Party stands as a poignant and thought-provoking testaments to the complexities of existence and enduring relevance of absurdism in a contemporary society. So here are my references, and thank you. If you have any questions, please feel to ask.
I think my question is what role do Meg and Kitty play in highlighted the theme of chaos and meaninglessness in the birthday party?
They both character highlighting the in the starting of all three acts. They both have a meaningless conversation, and they both have a hopelessness and emptiness of their lives regarding their existence.
Hardi, my question is for you. You highlighted the genealogical speech of Goldberg. Why does it lack exploration of relevance?
The genealogical speech of Goldberg it lacked exploration of relevance because of the character of Stanley intimated with the confusion of his lives rather than in the play. There is no development of character or plot.
Hello everyone, good afternoon to all. I'm NIMBARK and today I am here with the presentation on Pinteresque, exploring Harold Pinter's way of writing. So Harold Pinter, born in 1930, he was a British playwright whose Pinteresque style characterized by enigmatic dialogue and exploration of power dynamics. So here some of my personal information. Let's quick overview the early life and influence of Harold Pinter. Early life. Harold Pinter was born in Hackney, London, to a Jewish family. His early experiences growing up in working class neighborhood during World War II greatly influenced his writing, shaping his perspective on human relationship and complexity of power dynamics. Artistic beginning. Pinter's artistic journey began with his love for literature and poetry. He studied at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art and later became involved in the English Stage Company, where he honed his skill as a playwright and actor. Breakthrough success. Pinter's first major play, The Birthday Party, premiered in 1958 and marked the beginning of his unique style. The play, ambiguity and underlying tension captivated audience and critics alike, establishing Pinter's as a force to be reckoned with in the world of theatre. Let's discuss Pinteresque style, ambiguity and silence. One of the hallmark of Pinteresque writing is its embrace and ambiguity and silence. Pinter's dialogue is often cryptic, leaving much unsaid and inviting audience to read between the lines. The pregnant pause and unspoken tensions create an atmosphere of unease and uncertainty. Power struggle. Pinter's work frequently explore the dynamics of power and control within relationship. His characters engage in subtle power struggling, using language and silence as weapon to assert their dominance or resist oppression. This exploration of power dynamics adds depth and complexity to his play. The third one is symbolic imagery. Pinter's use of symbolic imagery is another defining characteristic of his style. Object, gesture, and setting take on deeper meaning serving as metaphors for the character's inner turmoil or broader themes explored in the play. This layered symbolism invites multiple interpretations and encourages audience. Some masterpieces of Harold Pinter. The first one is Birthday Party. Pinter's first major play, The Birthday Party, is a masterclass in Pinteresque writing, set in dilapidated boarding house. The play explored theme of identity, memory, and fragility of human relationship through its enigmatic characters and cryptic dialogue. The second one is The Homecoming. In The Homecoming, Pinter delves into the complexities of family dynamics and the struggle for power. The play's ambiguous relationship and underlying tensions leave audience questioning the true nature of the characters' interaction. The third one is Betrayal. Betrayal is a poignant exploration of love, loyalty, and betrayal. Through its innovative narrative structure, Pinter reveals the hidden truth and emotional complexities that lies beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary lives. Pinter's innovative writing technique. So first let's discuss dialogue structure. Pinter's dialogue is renowned for its rhythmic cadency and pregnant pauses. By leaving much unsaid, he invites audience to read between the lines and infer deeper meaning. Second one is stage direction. Pinter's stage direction are meticulously crafted to enhance the dramatic tensions and underscore the subtext of his play. Every detail contributes to the overall atmosphere, themes and motif. Throughout his work, Pinter explored recurring themes such as memory, identity, and the nature of reality. These motifs serves as the thematic backbone of his play. Narrative structure of Harold Pinter. Pinter's non-linear narrative structure challenges traditional storytelling. convention, forcing audience to reevaluate their understanding of cause and effect. Pinter's influence and impact. The first influence on theater. Pinter's innovative approach to storytelling and his exploration of power dynamics have had a profound influence on the world of theater. His work have inspired generations of playwrights and artistic to push boundaries of creativity. The second one is contrast with tradition. In contrast to traditional dramatic convention, which often prioritize clarity and resolution, Pinter's work reveals in ambiguity and uncertainty. By defining audience expectations, he challenges them to engage more deeply with the material. Comparison with movement. While Pinter's work shares some similarities with the absurdist or existentialist movement of the 20th century, it also stands apart as a unique expression of his personal vision. His exploration of power dynamics and human psyche sets him apart from his contemporaries. Let's see some critic reception and legacy of Harold Pinter. Critical reception. Despite initial skepticism from some critics, Pinter's work ultimately garnered widespread acclaim for its depth and originality. His play continues to be studied and performed around the world, cementing his status as one of the greatest playwrights of the 20th century. Posthumous recognized. Following his death in 2008, Pinter's legacy only grew stronger. He was posthumously awarded numerous honors, include the Laurence Olivier Award for Lifetime Achievement and the PEN Academy Prize for Autobiography. Influence on contemporary artists. Pinter's influence extends beyond the realm of theater, shaping the work of filmmakers, novelists, and poets alike. His commitment to truth and his uncompromising exploration of the human condition continues to resonate with the audience today. Pinter's exploration of power dynamics. The first interpersonal relationship. Pinter's play often explore the power dynamics within interpersonal relationship, whether romantic, familial, or professional. His character engage in subtle power struggle using language and silence as tool to assert dominance of resist oppression. Social and political theme. Beyond personal relationship, Pinter's work also delve into broader social and political theme, examining the way in which power structure shape and influence human behavior and interactions. The psychological complexity. Pinter's exploration of power dynamics is not limited to external forces, but also extends to the internal psychological complexity of his character. Their motivations, desire, and fear are often rooted in their struggle for control or their resistance to oppressions. Pinter's enduring relevance to the contemporary interpretations. Pinter's play continues to be reinterpreted and reimagined by contemporary directors and actors, ensuring their relevance in the modern era. Each new production offers fresh perspective and insight into his timeless themes, diverse perspectives. As society evolves, Pinter's work are being explored through diverse lenses, shedding light on the intersection of power dynamics with race, gender, and other social constructs. This diversity of perspective enriches our understanding of his work. Global reach. Pinter's play have transcended culture and linguistic boundaries, being performed and celebrated around the world. Their universal theme and exploration of the human condition resonate with audience across diverse background and experiences. To conclude the presentation, let's see Pinter's lasting impact. In our exploration of Harold Pinter's writing, we have delved into the unique style from enigmatic dialogues and innovative narrative structure. Pinter's commitment to truth and exploration of the human condition have shaped the literary landscape. His work serves as a beacon of truth, urging us to question assumptions and embrace complexities beyond theater. Pinter's influence extends to various art forms, inspiring generations. His plays continues to captivate audience, offering new insight with each performance. Pinter's name remains synonymous with storytelling and the human experience. Here are some references. Okay. If you have any question.
Akshay, my question is for you. Could you highlight some of the stage directions Pinter used?
So Harold Pinter's stage direction are like instruction to the director and actor that which type of action should be taken while performing the drama or play. The many minor stage direction like how to sit and how to walk on the stage are required. If you see an example, then in his masterpiece Birthday Party, once in Stanley sit down on the table and he picks up a cornflakes packet and shakes it and put it back. This type of minor action. And another scene, PT go to the door and open it and take an outer look. This type of action, minor direction, stage direction of Pinter leave lasting impact to the reader or the audience.
So actually, my question is, which element of Pinter plays a vital role in enriching his words?
So major elements of Pinter to enriching his words is his use of silence and pauses. As we all know, he is known for his mastery in Pinter's pose. So many a times on the stage, the characters came out with some silences and tensions and take a long pause with the tension. These types of unsaid dialogue or lines leaves impressive impact on the audiences.
Very good afternoon, everyone. On the last day of presentation, my topic of presentation is Menace in Comedy, Analyzing the Birthday Party by Harold Pinter. This is my academic information. Now about Harold Pinter. So Harold Pinter was a renowned British playwright, screenwriter, director, and actor. He is known for his distinctive writing style characterized by ambiguity underlying the tension and psychological depth. Pinter's work often explores the theme of power, identity, and complexities of human relationships. Now, a brief overview about the play Birthday Party. So, the Birthday Party play is a very famous work of Harold Pinter, which was first performed in 1958. The play is set in a seaside boarding house, and and revolves around the characters of Stanley Weber, a pianist whose quiet life is disrupted by the arrival of mysterious strangers. As the story unfolds, the layer of comedy, absurdity, and meanness are revealed, creating a gripping theatrical experience. Pinter employs various comedic elements through the plays, including witty dialogues, absurd situations, and fabric moments. The interactions between characters such as Stanley, Meg, Betty often veer into realm of dark humor, eliciting both laughter and discomforts from the audience. The comedic element serves as a facade that masks underlying tension and meanness lurking beneath the surface. So, what is comedy of meanness? This term was coined by Irving Bordel. The term comedy of meanness refers to a genre that combines the element of comedy with an underlying sense of threat or unease. In some simple term, we can say it is the mixture of meanness and humor. Now, Pinteresque. So it was we just had a whole presentation on this, so we will not go deep into that. So the term Pinteresque is basically a style of Harold Pinter, Pinter's writing, in which the elements are cryptic dialogue, pauses and silences, power dynamics, psychological depths, and absurdity and realism. So the power of language. So Pinter uses of a language is a key element in conveying both comedy and meanness. The rapid shift between mundane conversations and mincing interrogations showcase the power of dynamics at play. Dialogue is often loaded with subtext, allowing multiple interpretations and heightening the sense of unease. Meanness and uncertainty in the play Birthday Party. So the play is full of humor and threat coexist. Stanley, the protagonist, is hunted by the vague but ever-present meanness. The arrival of Goldberg and Macon intensify Stanley's anxiety about his identity. The play explores how external forces and internal doubts create a crisis of self in the characters. Even minor characters like Lulu and Meg grapple with a sense of self-lost or unachieved. Pinter expertly builds tension through cryptic dialogue, ominous symbolism, and the gradual unraveling of Stanley's past, leaving audiences on edge and questioning a true nature of events. For this, I have taken some small scene from the Birthday Party, in which McCann and Goldberg is about to come in the Meg's boarding house, and Stanley is very felt uneasy by knowing their arrival. So it is the dialogue from the Birthday Party. Stanley, who are they? Meg, I don't know. Stanley, did he tell you their names? Meg, no. Stanley, here. They wanted to come here? Meg, yes, they did. Stanley, why? Meg, this house is on the list. But Stanley, but who are they? So here we see that Meg's boarding house is full of crap, and no one would. It would be not first preference for the visitors to choose Meg's boarding house. So she is saying that house is on the list. So, and Stanley is very afraid of arrival of the new visitors. So it shows the mixture of meanness and humor. Now, impact and legacy of Pinter. The Birthday Party remains a seminal work in modern theatre, challenging conventions and pushing boundaries. Pinter's ability to blend comedy and meanness has influenced subsequent generation of playwrights and artists. The play exploration of dark aspect of human nature continues to resonate with audience, ensuring its enduring legacy. Pinter's use of explicit language challenges power dynamics and serves as a tool for resistance. Pinter criticized Anglo-American policies, denouncing torture and imperialism in his Nobel acceptance speech. His works highlights the impact of obscenity in condemning abuse of power and expressing defiance. Pinter's use of explicit language and obscenity serves to convey anger, critique, and resistance against authoritarianism and violence. So, to conclude, Harold Pinter's Birthday Party showcased the potent fusion of comedy and meanness in theatre. Through sharp dialogue, intriguing characters, and thematic depth, Pinter crafts a narrative that keeps audience on the edge of their seats. The play's enduring legacy lies in ability to challenge convention and provoke contemplation about human behavior and societal norms. For further reading, you can visit the sources, and your questions are welcome now.
So, Darshan, my question is, in Pinter's birthday party, the interpretation of Stanley's past life is left open-ended. How do you personally interpret Stanley's background and experience?
So, when we first finished the play, it was quite obvious that everyone had their own interpretation. And mine was that Stanley Weber must be a figure like DHATRI, who is roaming and wandering around the world and condemning his government. And maybe in Stanley's case, his government is not quite tolerant, and he sent men for that. And humorous thought that came at that time was that maybe sometime Ajit Doval may be sent to civilize DHATRI, like Goldberg was sent next, please.
So Darshan, my question is, do you find any movie or literary work having meaner factors like birthday party?
In movie, I would say we have a dark comedy movies in Bollywood, in which Andhadhun would be very relatable to this. And in literary works, there is a novel by Bret Ellis, American Psycho, which is also exploring the factors like birthday party. And there is also a movie based on this novel, American Psycho. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, myself Maya Bhatia. Today's my topic of reflections on Pinter's The Birthday Party. This is my personal information about The Birthday Party. The Birthday Party drama in 3 acts by Harold Pinter, produced in 1958 and published in 1959. Pinter's first full-length play established his trademark comedy of manners, in which a character is suddenly threatened by the VAGH horrors as large in the outside world. A birthday party stayed by Stanley's landlady soon turns into an exhibition of violence and terror. Pinter's forming vision of paranoia and isolation is reinforced by his use of dialogue, including frequent pauses, disjointed conversation, and non-sequiturs. About author, Harold Pinter, born in 10 October 1930, London in England. He was died in 24 December 2008, London, aged in 78. He was awarded awards and honors Nobel Prize 2005. He was notable work Moonlight, The Birthday Party, The Caretaker, The Dumb Waiter, The Homecoming, and The Room, Movement and Style, Theatre of the Absurd. The Theatre of the Absurd, The Case of Pinter's Birthday Party. The lack of confidence in language as a medium of communication is one of the most fundamental features of the absurd theatre. Language it appears has become a medium for traditionalism, exchange of meaningless stereotyped and interpretation. Such act sheds light of the tragic condition at which man models lives. Meg, it is good, pity, not bad. Meg, what does it say? Pity, no much. Meg, you read me out some nice bit yesterday. Meg, will you tell me when you come to something good? Pity, yes. Harold Pinter's The Birthday Party is an absurd play. The word absurd means foolishness, selfness, absurd to reason something silly and ridiculous. The theatre of the absurd commonly associated with existentialism. Example of absurd plays are Samuel Beckett's masterpiece Waiting for Godot. One of the great plays of the 20th century and the myth of Sisyphus is a philosophical essay by Albert Camus. The dialogue in the opening scene between Pete and Meg is filled with inane questions asked by Meg, followed by Pete's monological answer. Meg, you got your paper? Pete, yes. Meg, it is good. Pete, not bad. Meg, what does this say? Pete, nothing much. Pinter's bird eye view. Harold Pinter's play still puzzle audience and critics after almost 50 years of acquaintance with his work. Pinter in his play The Birthday Party expresses his own vision of looking at the milieu of the modern age. He employs psychological devices to present melancholic post-war human affliction. In the play, there are 6 characters and they constitute a microcosm of society. They mirror the economic division of the society and the division between exploiters and exploited. Goldberg and McCann exploiters, managers, operators, and control the life as well as decision makers. Reflection on Pinter's The Birthday Party. One cannot and probably should not write about Pinter without twisting his similarity to Kafka and his acknowledged identityness to him. In the course of telling stories which are apparently objective and up to a point even pretend to be realistic, both writers have subjective corners, many of which go back to infancy. Both deal with experience which at first glance seem commonplace, even part-time, but which turn out to be battles for high stakes. Sanity, for example, or sometimes life itself. Both share a conviction that is the ancient aspect of experience are ambiguous if not unknowable, yet both write simply and lucidly. Another similarity is too important to ignore. Both men are preoccupied with our fears, our existence really rather than our hopes. This is even more true of Pinter than of Kafka, one of the most true great. Conclusion. Thus, the play reflects the radical state of the individual in the second half of the 20th century. It presents the grimness and despair in man's life. Pinter's characters are bewild. They are put themselves in under darkness and are unable to recognize their true nature and purpose. The modern life at each and every instant shocked the general folk in the post-war modern Western society. This is my references. Thank you. If you any question, ask me.
So Maya, my question is, what are the elements of Pinteresque you find in the play Birthday Party?
The birthday party by Harold Pinter. Some elements of ambiguation, dialogue, silences, and menace and threat, and psychological complicity. Any else?
Maya, what are the other examples of absurd drama?
Some of the birthday party. No. Some of well-known example of Waiting for Godot, Samuel Bucket, and Painters, the Homecoming, and Sartre, the No Exit, and Jeanette, the Balcony, some theme of life of meaningless, and stay in theater and observe. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Today's my presentation topic is exploring existential themes in popular culture. So these are some academic details, and starting with the term defining what is existentialism. So existentialism is a philosophical movement which arose in the mid 20th century, and it was largely arose in the European continent, and only after the other philosophers came and elaborated on this particular theory, it goes across the border. And existentialist philosophers predominantly from European country, and existentialism is arguably the most famous philosophical movement. Basically, existentialism theory helps human beings to gives the meaning to their whichever meaning they want in their life. The existentialism gives them. So the philosophy suggests that humans being aware of their mortality ascribe meaning to their lives by making choices and engaging in their action. So as a human beings, we do not have any particular essence. Our choices make our essence. So our existence precedes our essence. So there is no predetermined essence of human beings. Our choices are our essence, according to Sartre. So we are not born with fixed human nature, but create our own essence through the choice we make. Existentialism says about to exist authentically in the highest degree, true to oneself and honest to oneself. According to Poerty, he argues that as an individual, we should not incline to others' existential philosophy, but rather we should take a stance for our own philosophy. And existentialism calls for the confronting one's finitude, aloneness, and freedom through the experience that return one to authentic selfhood. There are some key existentialist thinkers like Kierkegaard, Nietzsche, Martin Heidegger, Sartre, and Jasper, and Marcel. They all shared the same belief, but their philosophy didn't adequately deal with the real human life. So Sartre have said that we human possess the radical freedom, and there is no determinism. Man is free, and man is freedom. So though there are some other key philosophers as well, but these are the four which are the existential key philosophers. First of them is Soren Kierkegaard. He is the one who gives the concept of the existentialism, but he as such didn't name the existentialism. and then comes the Friedrich Nietzsche, and then comes Albert Camus and Jean-Paul Sartre. Sartre is the one who coined and popularized the term in his essay Existentialism and Humanism. And Soren Kierkegaard, also known as the father of existential philosophy. So let us look at some existential views of these existential philosophers. So Kierkegaard had some Christian injection, which includes the leap of faith. So leap of faith basically means that we are connected with the some divine or transcendental being that is look after us, and the meaning to give our life, it is done by that. And we in our day-to-day life also takes a leap of faith that the bad choices that we have made is made up by the God. And on the other hand, Nietzsche have said that God is there, and even if there is a God, it doesn't mean that He will help us in our finding the meaning. God is particularly indifferent to us. So Kierkegaard believed that the problem of meaning could be solved by an individual's connection to the divine, while Nietzsche took a strong anti-Christian stance. So Nietzsche also gives the idea of Übermensch or Overmensch, which basically implies that as a human beings we are free to do whatever we want to do in our life. And Sartre is bad faith. According to Sartre, bad faith is when individuals deceive themselves by denying or misinterpreting something that they are inherently aware about themselves. So in his article Stevenson gives one interesting example of the bad faith, that one person is a homosexual, but and this homosexuality cannot be changed or altered. This is the fact. Yet that homosexual person doesn't accept his homosexuality and doesn't practice it. So it becomes his bad faith. So here one question arises, that how this existential theory and existential philosophy is portrayed in such popular films and TV, and how it helps us to find our own address our own identity crisis, meanings and moralities. So what is pop culture? So pop culture or popular culture is a cultural expression, tradition and ideologies which was practiced by the mass culture within the society, and it is easily accessible to the every even marginalized people. So it is accessible, and it is at contrast with the mainstream culture of the elite people. And it is closely tied with the media, commercialism and industries such as television and advertising, and it is also include the popular genres like music, fashion, brands, comic books and fiction and sports. And also this popular culture act as a mirror of the society, and it also helps to shape the cultural trends. So these are some things which can be fall under the popular culture. It includes the fashion, songs, animes, games, and games such as PUBG and other OTT platforms like Netflix and Amazon and Disney, and our social media handles, Instagram, Facebook, and all other things. So one such Netflix series is a 2014 BoJack Horseman series, which talks about the existentialism, and Civic talks about and remarks about this series that this is the most existential show on television is about the cartoon, which is Alcoholic Horse. So BoJack Horseman is 2014 Netflix original adult animated series created by Raphael Boxberg. This series particularly takes place in the fictional town of Hollywood, in which the humans and the anthropomorphic animals coexist together. And our title character, BoJack Horseman, is one such character who who exhibits the identity crisis in the novel, alongside with other characters as well. And also this show is also the dark satire on the entertainment industry as well. In the particular series, it is also satire on the Me Too movement, and a casting couch happens in the industries as well. And the core existential idea is that this show doesn't constrain their characters constrain their characters from finding the meanings in their life. We see the other than BoJack Horseman, all the other characters are grappled with their absurdities, and they are trying to continue to find meaning in their life. So existentialism and BOJAC Horseman. So main existentialism, existential characteristic that BOJAC Horseman defines that authenticity versus living in bad faith. We have seen BOJAC is continuously escaping from his responsibilities and all that things. So he says that I am responsible for my own happiness. I can't even be responsible for my own breakfast. So we can see that he does not make easily the choice one should make to be an existentialist. And he also wanted to regain his fame. Back in the 90s, he was a sitcom actor, and now he also wanted to give his life meaning by winning an Oscar award. But after winning an Oscar award, he says that it is futile to give meaning to the life. Just like BOJAC, every other character in the story awaits for happy ending, which does not actually exist. And Sweek also says that we must imagine BOJAC happy. We must imagine he wants to be. BOJAC is Sisyphus, a rolling beer bottle up to the Bollywood hills. So these are some frames that touches upon the existential themes and absurdist themes. First one is the BOJAC's dialogue is about, the point is I don't understand how people live. It is amazing to see that people wake up and say, yeah, another day, let's do it. How do they do it? And I don't know. And another is, I spend a lot of time with a real me, and believes me, nobody's gonna love that guy. So here we can see the elusive nature of the BOJAC Horseman, who constantly evades from his responsibility and his duties, and indulges into the various relationships. And he is also a drunkard, and also he is sabotaging himself and the other characters who are in and around his life. And other character Diane, who is much more progressive character than BOJAC, because she has accepted her fate, and she grapples with absurdities of life. Says that every happy ending has the day after the happy ending. Like absurdities in life will never stop; it will continue day after day. So some other minor characters who portrays the existential crisis, other than BOJAC Horseman, all the minor characters are in a way progressive characters, because they have acknowledged their absurdities in their life and they are trying to give meanings to their life. So according to Kant, the world is nonsensical and meaningless, but human desperately tries to find purpose in it. This disparity is called the absurd hero and the absurdity. And such absurd hero are in the series are Mr. Peanut Butter, Cuddly Whiskers, and to some extent Dot as well. Mr. Peanut Butter and Dot in the series seen as continuously making up projects and having some business ideas and all the things. By that, they are continuously trying to give the meaning to their life. But one such instance is their plan was to create a driving service to make transportation safer for women. Is portrayed as a sincere attempt to do good, but it only end up making themselves rich. Mr. Peanut Butter says one dialogue that the universe is cruel, uncaring void. The key to being happy isn't a search for meaning. It is just keep yourself busy with unimportant nonsense, and eventually you will be there. So this dialogue says that how we can consider Mr. Peanut Butter as absurdist hero. So one another character name goes by Baboon, Jogging Baboon, can also be seen as one of the absurdist hero, who, just like absurdist hero Sisyphus, every day goes onto the hill and comes back. This kind of things he does every day, and he also motivates BOJAC to do the same, because even if it is meaningless, but you have to do it, and regardless of it. And Princess Caroline also finds some meaning by various love relationship, and she also knows that these relationships are fleeting, and therefore her meaning to life is also fleeting. And she also says that who knows for how long this meaning will last for her. And another character is Diane, and she finds meaning in her life through the online activism. She is in a series portrayed as an author, and she is also writing the biography of BOJAC Horseman as well. And she is particularly associated with the war and hunger, and she writes in the series about this war and hunger articles. But it is not worth it for her, because she cannot earn good money out of it. And Therefore, she has to write for the celebrities. So another movie is 1999 Fight Club. This Fight Club movie also portrays some existential themes, but rather in a more violent way. The 1999 movie Fight Club is adapted from the Chuck Palahniuk's novel with the same name, and it is directed by the David Fincher. The movie follows the unnamed narrator's life, who is played by the Edward Norton, and he feels devoid and alienated from the society because of the capitalistic approach of the society and the consumerism. And out of this, he meets his alter ego, Tyler Durden, who represents vitality, freedom, and masculinity that protagonist lack. He let loose his alter ego, Tyler Durden, who stands for everything that our protagonist lacks. As I've said, the Fight Club is also a critique of capitalistic consumerism, masculinity, and mortality and identity. So insomnia is as existential angst. So our unnamed protagonist has suffered from the insomnia, which can also be a metaphor for his identical crisis as well. And he also goes to the various supporting groups where he possibly finds solace and connectedness toward the society. And by going into the supporting group, he thinks that he will be near to the death, because there are some people who are heavily deceased and they are on the verge of death. So our protagonist thinks that by doing this, he can also have the near-death experience and he can find the meaning in his life. So narrator in the movie Fight Club is played by the Edward Norton, is a central character whose existential crisis drives the movie's plot. So Tyler also emerges from the narrator's psyche and responds to his emasculation, lack of meaning, and spiritual numbness in the modern capitalistic society. And our narrator Edward Norton also went through the three metamorphoses of the spirit according to the Nietzsche. First of all, he is a camel. A camel is a metaphor for the social concern that our narrator holds, and he after that rebels and comes into the second category of the lion in the second stage, where he is a rebellious spirit. He let loose the Tyler Durden and established Fight Club to give the meaning to his life. And then at the last, he also comes to the stage of child, where he was reborn and able to give a new meaning to his life. So here are some existential themes that is portrayed in the Fight Club. First of all, we have seen the search for meaning and purpose. Our character is feel devoid because of the capitalism and all the things, and he wants to be loved and connected with the society, but he cannot do that, and so that is why he's insomniac and all the things. And with his alter ego Tyler Durden, he also established Project Mayhem, which requires forcefully obedience, and which is not a good thing. So he at the end of the series also metaphorically kills his alter ego as well. And it is also talks about the radical freedom. The narrator must make difficult choices without moral guidelines, such as the Project Mayhem, which include the destroying the capitalistic which includes the destroying the buildings of capitalistic and rejecting the essence for existence. By letting loose his alter ego Tyler Durden, his identity as Tyler Durden exemplifies the existentialist view that one existence precedes and shapes one's perceived essence or self-conception. So what are some impacts of this narrative? So pop culture, as I've said, that is a prism through which contemporary societies navigate various cultural realities. And such kind of existentialism is portrayed in these kind of a popular movie and TV shows, allows us to connect ourselves from the characters like BoJack Horseman and the Edward Norton and Tyler Durden. And it is also helpful to address our identity crisis and our identity crisis as well. And Edgar Kelly and Stephanie Helsing, in their article, Constructive Education with the Media Using Fight Club to Teach Existential Counseling Theory, also use this kind of movies as to teach the students about the abstract existentialism theory. So to conclude, the prevalence of existential themes in popular cinema reflects the enduring human search for meaning, identity, and purpose. We can relate with such kind of characters as our own. And interrelations of existentialism and popular culture highlights how human beings strive to understand their limits on the earth. And these are some references, and thank you.
So Akash, I am interested to know how do the works of Camus and Sartre intersect or diverge in the exploration of existential themes such as absurd freedom and searching for meaning in life.
Yes, the works of Albert Camus and Sartre have remained one of the important in the existential themes in today's popular culture as well. Like we have seen the Sartre's idea of existence precede essence is also seen in the character of the Edward Norton, and other than that, we have seen the various example of absurd hero in the web series BoJack Horseman as well, where talking baboon was continuously going up to the hill and coming back to the hill and motivates BoJack Horseman to do the same. So yes, it is a very we can say that it is remain important Camus and Sartre's work in today's world as well.
Akash, my question is, can you identify any example of existential theme in visual art or graphic novels, and how do they differ from other mediums?
So these kind of visual arts also falls into the popular culture as well, and by it is our human tendency to see that visual to get to know more about the visual from visual arts and such kind of graphical novels, by which we can more clearly understand such a kind of abstract philosophy like existential theme, existential nihilism, and absurdism. So, and they also how do they differ from the other mediums? So, like we are, sorry, I don't know how do they differ from the other medium. So, thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Bhumika Gohil, and today's topic is Beyond Masala, Existentialism in Indian Cinema. So these are my academic information. Introduction to Existentialism, as Akash provided a very introduction of existentialism, I would not go into brief in this. So existentialism is basically a philosophical movement that emerged in the late 19th and early 20th century, and primarily in Europe. And it focuses on individuals' experience of existence. And so individual is at the center of this philosophy. And the idea that existence precedes essence is prominent in this philosophy. So it shows that individuals, human beings do not have a predetermined destiny or a purpose in life that is already decided for us. So basically we have to make our own meaning and purpose in life. And there is this the freedom on individual that, and you have to take responsibility of your action, and whatever your life will turn out to be will be because of your actions. And as Jean-Paul Sartre has said, that humans are condemned to be free. So freedom is seen as a burden in this philosophy, and there is also an acknowledgement of inherent anxiety that comes with this freedom. That because we are the master of our own fate, whatever will happen will be our responsibility, and this gives people anxiety. So this is the basic idea of existentialism. Through this presentation, I will try to examine the portrayal of existential themes in selected Bollywood films, and can we identify recurring motives and narrative techniques that contribute to a nuanced understanding of existentialism within the Indian cinema. For my exploration, I have chosen the movie Pyasa by Guru Dutt, Anand by Hrishikesh Mukherjee, and Mrinal Sen's Ek Din Achanak. So let me give you a brief about Pyasa. So Pyasa follows the story of Vijay, who is a struggling poet, and he is rejected by society and his loved one as well. And despite his talent, he is dismissed by the literary establishments, and nobody is publishing his works. And he lives a very pessimistic existence. And he finds solace in his poetry and the company of a compassionate prostitute named Gulabo. She's the only one who understands his poetry and likes it. And so Vijay also, along in this journey, he encounters wealthy publishers who try to exploit his poetry and do not give him enough credit. And when they say that Vijay, due to some accident, Vijay is in hospital, and the publishers and everyone says that he has died, and basically holds a funeral to make the poetry more popular. And so Vijay gains popularity after his presumed death. And he is so disillusioned by it that he refuses to accept himself as Vijay. And he says that, yes, I'm not Vijay. And he accepts that the real poet is dead. And he leaves that town. So there is a bittersweet resolution. And basically, the movie questions the values of materialistic society. So let us see existentialism in the movie Pyasa. So Vijay is a poet who is rejected by everyone. His family and his older brothers, they often bully him, and they say that you are living on our money and you are not doing enough contribution to the house. And because of that, he's forced to leave the house, and he lives alone, and he's very lonely because of this. And his poetry is not accepted and even sold to scrap dealers for very cheap price, despite it being very talented. And all the other publishers say that his poetry is based on realities of life, poverty, and everything like that. And people say to him that you write love poetry; those are more famous. And so it shows that his lack of recognition. And in this movie, through Vijay's poems and songs, existential theme is explored. Here is an example. So there is a song called "Ye Mahal Ye Takhte Riwaazon Ki Duniya." And another one which is very famous, you might have heard, is "Jaane Wo Kaise Log The Jinke Pyar Ko Pyar Mila." So both of these songs show this existential theme, and they express the hollow and ugly world that the poet lives in. And another thing is, because of all this disillusionment and alienation from society, Vijay adopts alcoholism. And this highlights his existential crisis and search for a reason to live. And in the end, Vijay chooses to abandon this society, as we discussed the ending. So he decides that he does not want to live here. He goes away with Gulabo, and he goes to live elsewhere. But even in the film's ending, because his death is profiting selfish people. So this also reinforces the existential themes of the movie and the futility of life within a materialistic society. Now let me give you an introduction of the movie Anand. So in Pyasa, we saw a very pessimistic view of existentialism. Anand is completely opposite. Here we meet Anand, who is a terminally ill patient, and he might die in a few months. But he's not saddened by his own death or news of it, and he tries to have a positive outlook on life, and he lives and brings joy and inspiration to everyone around him as well. So it explores his relationship with Dr. Bhaskar and a journalist named Renu, and impact he has on people around him. And despite his illness, Anand approaches each day with enthusiasm and humor, and he leaves a lasting legacy of hope and love. Let us understand existentialism in the movie Anand. So before introduction of Anand, we meet Dr. Bhaskar, played by Amitabh Bachchan, and he lives a very pessimistic life. He sees the poverty around him, the sickness, and he is constantly bothered by the idea that he may not be able to help everyone, and that there are so many sicknesses that have no cure for it. And this, because of all this, he has developed a pessimistic view on life. Anand's philosophy on life and death, and Anand sees death as a natural part of life, and he accepts it. And he is not. He says that it is not something to be feared. And this deeply impacts Dr. Bhaskar's philosophy as well. And Anand believes that one should live big rather than trying to live long. So it does not matter how long we live, but it is important on how we live, what we do. As Divya Tripathi mentions, Divya Tripathi compares the idea of death that Anand has to the idea of death that Toru possesses in The Plague by Albert Camus. And Anand's action and worldview end up having a transformative effect on other characters as well, as I mentioned, especially Dr. Bhaskar. So he is a transformed person after he met Anand. And there is another quest in Anand. He always is in search for long lost friend Murari Lal. So there is no true Murari Lal. He just, whenever he finds somebody interesting on the street and he wants to connect with them, wants to be friends with them, he goes there and he says that, first he says hello and then says, oh, I'm sorry, I mistaken you for my friend Murari Lal. And that's how he builds connection. And this shows the existential idea of forging meaningful relationship. That even if everything does not have a meaning, that does not mean that we do not live happily and we live joy. And we just, be sorrowful all the time. And existentialism idea that even in the face of absurdity of life, we can connect meaningfully with the people and we can create friendships and meaningful relationships. And when Anand dies, it is portrayed as an inevitable thing, and it is not like it is sad, but not tragic. And he lives. As he left the world, he imparts valuable lessons about living life to the fullest and focuses on bringing joy to others and not dwelling on one's own suffering. As the famous dialogue says, that Anand Maranahi, Anand Mardevi. Now let me introduce you to the movie Ek Din Achanak. Ek Din Achanak, directed by Mrinal Sen, is about a history professor, Shashank Ray, and one evening he goes out for a walk in the rain and he does not return. And the entire movie is basically his family waiting for him, that when will he be back, and they are making assumption that why would he leave. So that is basically the plot. And after the disappearance of the professor, the family is they have to continue living as normal people, and they have to go back to their daily activities. But behind that, they are deeply wounded, and they always are trying to question that why did the professor leave, and his disappearance raises more questions than the answer. So the ending also is very ambiguous. We do not know what happened. And this is very similar to, we can say, Samuel Beckett's play Waiting for Godot, because there is this uncertain waiting and anxiety, and no clear answers are provided. Now let us say existentialism in Ek Din Achanak. So through the character of history professor, we see existential ideas are portrayed, and his unexplained disappearance, and then his family's futile attempt to find meaning in it, like why did he disappear, what would have happened. They are trying to understand it, but there are no clear answers. And this shows the absurdity of human condition. We do not know the answers of why we are here or our purpose in life, and we might never. There is a cryptic note that professor left behind before he left, and that is that kuch dino se acha nahi lagta, kuch bhi acha nahi lagta. So this indicates the feeling of anxiety and what kind of mental state he was in. And based on this, people are the family members are making assumptions that what could have happened. And so they are assuming that maybe professor left because he was having an existential crisis. And he had this realization that life can only be lived once. And no matter what happens, this is our only chance at life. And we are never getting this life again. And that realization is bringing existential crisis to him. And other interpretation is also that he has realized his own normality. So he realized that at the end of the day, he's a very normal person. He has not achieved greatness. And there is a possibility that he might never will. So because of this, the anxiety that comes into his mind is greatly disturbing, and maybe that is why he has left. A very clever comparison that the film provides is that the professor sees a clock, and the clock does not have an hour hand, but the minute hand is running. So he says that the clock is fine, but you can never know the meaning. So what time it is can never be known because there is no hour hand. And he compares this to human life. That there is no meaning in this life. We do not know what is the purpose of this life, but we have to continue living because the minute hand is working. So this comparison is given in the film, which I find very interesting. Now, some common motifs and narrative techniques used by all these three films. As we can see that the Existential theme is dealt with in very different manner in all these three films. Vyasa deals with a pessimistic view of existentialism, whereas Anand deals with gives a positive outlook on existentialism, and Ek Din Achanak just shows the anxiety of existential questioning that one has when we do not know the certain meaning of things. Some common motifs that are used in all these three films are disillusionment and alienation. The characters are disillusioned by their reality and they feel alienation from the society. They are not able to connect with the people they are living in. And there is a search for meaning and purpose in life. And another thing is the realization of human mortality and fleeting nature of life. And life is going to end and it is not permanent. And this realization and how different characters are dealing with it is shown in the films. Some narrative techniques that are used are symbolisms and metaphors, as we mentioned, the clock metaphor and everything. So they are used to show this existential themes. Other than that, dialogues and monologues are used by all these three films to convey the existential themes. And introspective narration is also seen in all of these. Now to conclude, through these timeless classics, we witness the exploration of existential ideas such as disillusionment, alienation, the search for meaning, and the tension between conformity and authenticity. Through these thought-provoking movies, we can witness the depth of Indian cinema in exploring philosophical ideas and existential dilemmas. And these films not only entertain but also provoke introspection, challenging viewers to confront their own existential questions and consider the choices that shape their lives. These are my references, and I would like to end my presentation with the famous dialogue from Anand. Babu Mosha's zindagi badi honi chahiye, lambi nahi. So now for your questions.
Bhumi, how has the portrayal of existential themes evolved in the Indian cinema over time?
As we can see, the older films of Guru Dutt and the films of that time, they used to explore philosophical questions of existentialism very deeply. Nowadays, if you see, not much film like this are coming, and philosophical themes are explored in, I would say, like a modern perspective in movies like Tamasha and like them. But yeah, so it is not that much prominent in current cinema, I would say.
Who's next?
My question is, are there any new Bollywood movies that explore exceptionalism?
As I said, the mainstream Bollywood has basically shifted to action-packed masala movies, and the only goal is to bring as many people to theater as possible. So there are not many philosophical exploration, but we can find movies like Tamasha, Dear Zindagi, and all of them, they explore philosophical ideas. But new movies are not that much leaning towards philosophy, I would say. Thank you for your time.
Okay, so quickly wind up the things. The last day for you, and still there are 3 more hours for the next group of students. And then our long day journey, 4 or 5 days for semester 4, and this 5 days. So that long day's journey, equally painful as using only portrait, will end after 3-4 hours. Yes, so quite well presented several things. From background of the thing that JAYSHRI presented to other things also. In KUSUM's presentation, we have seen about war poems. So the basic tone of the war literature normally that remains is that it tries to be anti-war or try to say that war is not a good solution to anything. So that point needs to be highlighted, even when several lyrics from the films were referred to. There might have been a reference to the lyric from the film Border. There was there, but not that one. The last song there, which has this "Mere Dushman Mere Bhai." That song, that lyric sets the tone of war poem also. So that tone is very important. And also, SC Bard can be cited. Nobody has cited that when you talk about background or this war literature. Having said that, in First World War there was euphoria. People were very happy, and the writers used to say that I'm so happy to fight for my country. Soldiers of the first generation of the war poets, and they want to say that wherever I die, a little bit of England will be there. So my nation will be there where I die. Now that idea seems to be very stupid idea. It has that when we see about the war and other things also. So in Second World War, that charm or that glamour diminished, and people were forced into go. They didn't want to go, but they were forced to go. And so many pacifist people who were against that idea. But there was a rule that you will have to go for war. So either you go to jail or you go for war. And many people were ready to go to jail rather than to go for war also. So this point is very important to be highlighted, and this tone also. There were reference to Ukraine things that was good about how they try to see that. But this war zone in Ukraine and in Gaza needs to be seen. There were reference to some of the writers, recent writers, and you have to write that, which war they are talking about. And you see contemporary war poems or war idea in literature. Which area? So, Hurt Locker or another poet was from Iraq and Afghanistan. Jehan Yugro's poem, or Dunia Mikhail, these all poems. They are from which country, which war they are talking about. That point is very important. So normally we see now Iraq and Afghanistan, and which is the country against them? It was America and Iraq, America and Afghanistan. So those narratives are now coming up after 10, 15 years of those wars. Now people are writing about those things. About what is happening in Gaza and in Ukraine, we'll have to wait again 10 more years to see how the literature will write. But we can sense that nobody will appreciate that it was a good war. It was for the freedom of humanity, or freedom from some atrocious ruler. This war will not there. Rather, the atrocious rulers are overpowering the scene today in all this war zones also. Even in the case of ChatGPT also, we have to be very skeptical when we get those things. And the responses that we get from ChatGPT may not be completely true also. That example also we can see in them. Yes, Vishwa also presented on the same thing, war. HIRAL presented on the stream of consciousness in film. Now that is a very difficult thing to see, because psychological thriller and stream of consciousness is different thing. Normally, things tend to become more of a psychological thriller or the human psyche also. So there might be some scenes in the film which might be dealt or narrated in the concept of stream of consciousness, but not the entire film can be there. So how exactly that particular sequence, like in Tamasha, you talked about this child and his narration that goes. That has to be differentiated with the idea that there is a voiceover in a narration. In the film, they use the technique of voiceover. So that voiceover is not stream of consciousness. That difference also is necessary to be brought in. So in lunchbox or other thing, there's lots of voice over of the thing that goes on there. Jay presented on this Indian literature also. When you take this idea, you also have to refer to some good articles from where you are referring to those. Otherwise, it becomes very challenging to prove or justify. The words may mean something, but the word like existence is a very normal word. To be is to exist, but it is not existentialism. Existentialism in the philosophy is much deeper than just to talk about existence. If I find anywhere a word absurd, which is used for something that is not understandable, something that is stupid kind of thing, so people use the word absurd. But that cannot be exactly about what Albert Camus wanted to say about absurdity also. So for that we need some articles where people have thought, and those articles are published at some better place. So the peer review has gone, and people have agreed that this idea can be applied in this also. So that becomes challenging when Guy kind of film is seen with the idea of absurd theatre. Midnight Children was a good one. There was a good article also on Midnight Children. So that was a good example through that article that how it tries to see that. This article was there. But when it stated that through absurdity, there is the word absurdity, and we have to check whether this absurdity is exactly what we mean or not. So we read article, we find that when there is a make of the was referred. So we can understand that the writer is talking about absurdity in context of myth. But what is he doing here? Why is he using this? And then he is talking about nature and nurture, nurturing and nature kind of an idea. For that, he wants to define genealogy. Genealogy means he wants to say that the purity of blood, those things that comes hereditary is not true. He wants to against that idea. That idea is an absurd idea. That there are something like Lohina Sanskar. That is an absurd idea. So you nurture yourself to be what you want to be, not nature. આપણી અંદરથી જે પ્રકૃતિ છે બહુ મોટી છે અને આપણે એના ઉપર કંઈ ન કરી શકીએ. That is nurture versus nature. So that is the idea of existentialism. Naturally is used. So then it is a good reading. Otherwise, it is very difficult to find even Midnight Children under absurdity or the. What is your focus to do, and then what you are doing. That is very important. So, without this article, the idea of absurdity in Midnight Children seems to be very absurd. So, what you are seeing, you are not seeing absurdity or existential ends, but you are trying to prove whether nurturing is very important or nature is very important. Then you are using that also. So, then it becomes clear to see that. Nanda presented on this. Also, there was this question also that how personally you see absurdity and other things also. So many times we have find that there is a very things of doing this also is very absurd. Kind of a thing that every day doing the thing and then somebody comes there and asks some stupid question. Absurd answer is given by the speaker, and sometimes like Maya will answer what she wants to answer, irrespective of what the question is. આપણે પ્રશ્નની ચિંતા નહીં કરવાની, આપણે તો જે બોલવું છે એ બોલવાનું છે. So that way also you feel the very angst and the thing. But there is a meaning also. Along with that, you can say that this the very thing also is quite interestingly meaningful also within that absurdity. So when you do the thing, and when you will become teachers in some colleges, and you would also like to do the thing, like let us also have presentations in our class and other things. And but you all may not be lucky to have a good infrastructure. You can see the photo there, and there's not a wall to project anything. Forget about digital board or other things. But then You will put your own small laptop and try to present the things there. So that also you will try, but you want to do something, but you don't have the facilities to do the things also. Many of you might have sat in this class also. Those who are coming from Samudras College. If you had gone to college, then you might have been sitting on one of the benches also. But lack of infrastructure. But you think that someday when you will have, so today there was interesting post by one of our students from Mahua. So we posted this that they got a digital board. And now they are able to do the presentation. Before that, they were not having a digital board, but now the college has purchased the digital board, and so all the students are enjoying the presentations. So the activity becomes meaningful then. Then it becomes meaningful that when more students are engaged in this, and when all the students will come here, it will be good. We don't have to train them about using the resources. They might be aware about how all these resources can be utilized also. So yesterday I think she posted that now they got this digital board and they are happy for doing the thing. So at the same time, the other students also keep on saying that when will we have projector in the class? When will we have the display board? In this class there is not a wall also where you can display, even if you have a projector also. But well, things tend to be meaningful in different ways. And even when today we have this news also, today's newspaper also. So people like us who keep on working on holidays also. We are also Sarkari Karmachari, but we don't have vacation. And every 2-3 months we will have religious festivals, and newspaper will create a perception that Sarkari Karmachari or the bus bajar में जाओ. दिवाली અને ઉનાળાના લાંબા વેકેશન તો આવે, ઉપરાંત આવા કેટલા બધા મિની વેકેશનમાં આવે. So they enjoy the things there. But again, this perception which media creates about government employees, if you have to fight, then you have to keep on sharing the work that you are doing on holidays also. Then that becomes important on holidays, vacations also. You are involved with academic work also. So everyday posting what you do on social media seems to be very absurd. But suddenly it becomes meaningful also. You can fight with this perception. There is a war of perceptions. That only people in the private sector are working, and in government people are not working. In government people are very lazy. They have mini vacations time and again. But we say no, it is not so. We don't even remember that there was a holiday. They read in newspaper, they realized that today is a holiday, so our humans and they will not come. So I will have to manage for this tea and other things. It will be very difficult to fight with the sleepiness of the presentation. हमारा आवाज इतना बड़ा मधुर है कि उनके सामने कड़ू पड़े इतना ऊंच जोगा. So today you won't get any support from the other staff because there is a holiday. So you have to manage the other resources. Those I not read the newspaper. I want to be aware that today is this one. So how there is a constant, there is absurdity and meaningfulness that keeps on happening around that aspect that we keep on seeing also. The other is present hypertext also we need to see that that requires like we told that some articles and other things are required. Otherwise it seems like just me can explain the thing that we jump down to something without taking proper steps, directly jumping down to the next phase. So if we have taken some resource, then we understand that okay, after this comes, then another comes, then you climb with it. Otherwise, the wrong step, which is a very interesting need. Even in the first world countries, in Europe and America, people use Google Classroom and other things. So somebody is prepared. Here, students also are like our students. They will mark as done, but the work is not. But the deadline is there. So it should not be late submission. So people will mark as done. Also put a link of a dummy blog. Later on, the blog will be posted, but the link has been generated and posted right now. So jumping down. So it seems like jumping to the thing without going in a proper way. So when this is seen, hypertext and postmodernity. Postmodernity as a style is well connected, style fragmented one, and those things come in hypertext. But thematically also, there was skepticism in postmodernism. Skepticism towards elements of enlightenment. There was this project of enlightenment. People thought that you educate people, you make reason something more important, and people will be civilized in a better manner. But then you have the World War happening after Enlightenment project, and you see that, well, Enlightenment is of no use. Still, you will keep on fighting, and you will keep on killing people. So you are disillusioned from the idea of Enlightenment, or the idea that educating people will serve the purpose of humanity. It is not going to serve the purpose. The most civilized people were fighting in First and Second World War. So there is a failure of the project of enlightenment. So there was skepticism from all those modern ideas, and that comes into postmodernity because that thematic connection is also very good. Now, what is happening in today's world with digital, that hypertext people are trying. So today we can say it is only an experiment. It is not deeply connected with the cultural dynamics. Or is it connected or not, that needs to be explored as such also. So there was that huge missing chunk in that part, jumping down to the conclusion there. HARDI on absurd and Pinter represented. Akshay also on that. Darshan also presented well. That connection was good. Stanley, how do you see today? As through Rathi or any other such people who are fearing to express themselves, and every day they have to say that our channel may be shut down immediately. Any day those platforms won't exist. Also, Akash also presented. Akash, there was this good point that some good articles were cited. So that point becomes interesting to see that how in several other works that has been seen. So there was this article which was cited, which also is talking about the things. And again, we have to check this existential is a mere word existential, or is it coming from the philosophy? So when you go through it, it ends also quite interesting, which was also taken in the slide also, that we must imagine Bojack acting. We must imagine he wants to be. So that is how Mythos is connected, and the writer is writing with a sense of that existentialism. That is a philosophy, and Albert Camus is involved in that. This article also is good. Fight Club, self-definition and the fragility of authenticity also. So this also, this, when we see the dead God and the absent father, so it refers to Nietzsche. So this article is exactly talking about the absurdist and existential philosophers. So the gay science, Nietzsche's, when he proclaimed this God is dead idea, and how from there it is coming there. So this supports that argument, which we say that in many of the article it is lacking. And if you get a good support from a quality article, then the argument that you are making gets authenticity also. This also was the article which speaks about the philosophical way of looking at the popular film. Last one was by Bhumi, and it was a good attempt and need to see, but there is not much work done in that. You cited one article by Mujaba Jadeja. This you might have cited also. This also is the thing which you might have cited by Ewan Assad, which also talks about the same thing which you want to say. But not much work is done in this existentialism and Indian films, Hindi films and that. So that needs to be, that can be still explored. Till that, it remains still not a complete idea that how people are using this idea. Okay, so with this we end our session here. Let me end the live stream.